In the heart of southern Sweden, Kristianstad stands as a vibrant town that seamlessly blends rich history with modern charm. The town was founded in 1614 by King Christian IV of Denmark, and since then, a few hundred years later, was constructed the very track we are racing at this weekend for round 4 of the Champions of the Future. This is the Åsum Ring in Sweden, and it plays host to the 4th round. A weekend so far has been absolutely fantastic with various racing, but before we dive into that, a look at the track itself. The year of opening, 2012, the event record set by Dmitry Matveyev in time qualifying, and that is a brand new outright lap record for the circuit of a 49.058. A closer look at the circuit though, 1,221 metres. It's 185 metres down the main straight with around 8 to 10 metres width of track difficulty out there and 6 metres of elevation. It is a little bit of an undulating circuit out there with some tricky turns as well. In terms of turns, there are 14 of them out on the circuit, spanning the 1.2 kilometre race distance, and the main overtaking opportunities around, well, most of the turns. We've seen overtakes in towards turn 4, 6, 7 and 14, but also into turns 9, 10, 11 and 12. There are plenty of places to get the overtaking done, which means that this is a fast and demanding circuit. Fastest part of the circuit as well is down into the main straight of turn number 1, 125 kilometers an hour with an average speed of around 83 kilometers an hour of the circuit. For all the drivers this weekend, it's going to be an absolute challenge, but the first of the qualifying heats will be coming up very, very soon. Morning warm-up this morning, Baglin was fastest in the B and F group, which would be the first groups coming out. Jimmy Elias was fastest in the senior categories in groups B and F, with Kostoya, Scott Lindblom, Dries van Langendonk and Gabriel Gomez all fastest today. But yesterday as well was a very interesting day in the juniors, because there's one driver who shone at the beginning of the weekend, but the rest of them have all been in a sort of tricky phase of the weekend. We caught up with a lot of the drivers, but here's what happened over the course of yesterday. The first day of racing for the OK Junior category for round 4 of the Champions of the Future saw time qualifying with Dries van Langendonk setting a 50.5, putting him in the A group. But in the first race of the day, Zhang Jose, who had a brilliant start in qualifying, had good races, but it would be Jacopo Martinez taking his first win of the weekend. Boris Lysen, who started on pole and also had a very good qualifying, had Christian Kostoya to battle with. Kostoya taking his first win of the weekend as well after a very dramatic opening second race of the weekend, with some drivers not even finishing it. Dries van Langendonk later in the day would be a driver who certainly had a good result, though. He would get 2 qualifying heat wins out of 2 over the course of the day, going into the next day with maximum points to his name. Noah Baglin and Nicholas Schaufler would be the other race winners to kickstart the juniors the first day of racing here at Kristianstad, but Dries van Langendonk would be the driver on top with maximum points going into Friday's racing. Well, a very packed day yesterday, and like we were saying there, Dries van Langendonk with the maximum points goes into today with 100 intermediate classification points ahead of Noah Baglin. Jacopo Martinez sits 3rd in the intermediate classifications ahead of Joel Popular, Christian Kostoya, Iskander Solfakari, Boris Lysen and Dean Hugendorn. But the next race that's coming up, OK Junior, it's the first race of the day and the 3rd rotation of qualifying heats. There on your screen, Ian Kraling, who starts this one on pole position. Well, brilliant day he had in time qualifying, 2nd fastest driver overall, and relatively decent results for him as well. A 6th place and a 4th yesterday. Obviously struggled to stay on the front row of that grid, but still some really consistent results. The same can be said for Ili Christian, who starts on the right-hand side of your screen there in the number 72. A 4th and an 8th yesterday. Whistle blows and the engines fire up. Let's take you through the full starting lineup then for qualifying Heat B versus F. It's Ian Kraling and Ili Christian on row number 1. Joel Popular, who's had 2 second places yesterday, starts alongside Oliver Rasmussen. Then it's Nicholas Schaufler, current championship leader, going from row 3. P17 in his first race yesterday, but redeemed himself with a qualifying heat win in his second. Baglin as well, a second and a win. He starts alongside Schaufler. Scott Marsh and Thomas Rodier round out row number 4 ahead of Devon Waltz and Lev Krutalov. Then it's Nikita Nikashov and Daniel Kelleher on row 6. Michael McGow and Mats van Rooyen round out row number 7 ahead of Ludovico Mazzola and Paul Andriotis on row 8. Janka de Troja and Alex Malota go from row 9 ahead of Zhao Zijun and Mark Pilapenko on row 10. Andrea Mani and Alex Martinez round out row number 11. Alo Girardet and Enzo Ruggiero go from row 12 ahead of Mariano Lopez and Lilian Scarborough on row 13. Sanazi and Jonathan Landstrom round out row 14 ahead of Oscar Gallin and Sada Matsui on row 15. They round out the top 30. Gregor Callis and Alfie Slater, who would be racing this weekend, is not on the grid. Henry Domain rounds out the 32 kart field on track. Unfortunately, Alfie Slater has withdrawn from the event, injury caused from the previous weekend of racing elsewhere in the world. So big shame for that one, and we do hope a speedy recovery to the young Briton. Well, racing about to get underway here. Kristianstad has certainly proved a challenge for the drivers. It's been 2 years since the championship has been here at the Swedish circuit, and I've got to say a lot of the drivers happy to be back, and for a handful of them, actually quite a few of them, it is their first time here as well. There is so many drivers out there who have yet to break ground on this track in a race capacity. Obviously yesterday would have been their first day of racing here, and it certainly was a challenge. So many different winners over the course of the day yesterday. And in the championship as well. We've had 3 different race winners in all the finals so far this season. No one has had a consistent season, but are we getting ready to go for the first race of the day? The answer to that is yes, and it's a great start from Kraling and Popular, who sweep into the lead. That inside line through turn number 1, absolutely superb. A carbon copy of what we saw yesterday, though. Drama in the chicane as the field tries to file their way through. It is just too tight there, and one of the drivers off the circuit, Thomas Rodier, was one of them, but he keeps going as well. And I think it was maybe Michael McGow for the Koski Motorsport team, one of the drivers that maybe went off the same as Alex Malota. So drivers in trouble out on the circuit through the first couple of corners, but the rest of the field looking strong at this point. Now, it's come up on my screen here that Jonathan Landstrom from Sweden, the AD Motorsport driver, has also not gone out on the circuit, but he's not, but maybe it's just a timing glitch there, so hopefully he is out on the circuit. Ian Kraling then, at the moment at the end, close gap, just 1/10 of a second separates these two as they head down in towards turn number 4. We have seen the overtakes into here thick and fast. We saw a big moment there yesterday in the senior category where so many drivers got caught out, but down the inside, Joel Popular through turn number 6 has been the favourite spot to go for the overtakes, as well as this. Schaufler down the inside of Kraling and moves up into second place. This is exactly what happened to Kraling yesterday. Had great starts, really held on to it for the first couple of laps, and then it just started to fade away at the second half of the race. Scott Marsh is right there now. The Tony Kart racer from the United Kingdom is there in P4, trying to push his way back. Kraling looking to the inside there, trying to think, could he get the move done on Schaufler? Thinks against it, stays there in third place. But look at here, Joel Popular, the winner from Val d'Argenton of round 2, is leading the way. Now, Joel Popular is an interesting case this season. Didn't have a good round at Valencia in Spain, didn't have a good round in Slovakia either. But here in Sweden, it's another good round for him. He's had some good results. Down the inside, Scott Marsh moves up into third, gets past Kraling, but Kraling's going to instantly fight back. This is good to see from Ian Kraling, the pole position driver in Group B in time qualifying. He was one of the fastest drivers over the course of time qualifying yesterday, and certainly putting those times into perspective. No drivers yet have deployed any fresh tyres. Everyone on the same tyres there. That's a huge moment for Waltz. Devon Waltz there dropping down to P10. But amazingly, still in this race, that was a very, very brave moment there to keep his foot firmly planted on the accelerator pedal there at the exit of the final turn. Incredible driving. Back to this one here, though. and Scott Marsh is still on that rear bumper of Ian Crayling. Now, Marsh at this moment, his results over the course of the weekend, he's had a P4 in his first race, a P5 in his second, so being consistent here. Now, this is out of the final corner. What happened here? So it was wheel to wheel here with the 63 of Noah Baglin, and just, oh, look at that. That is as close as you'd like to get it for your man Devon Waltz there, who amazingly keeps it on the circuit. Back to the live pictures here, and still Marsh is trailing just behind Ian Crayling for P3. A P3 here for Marsh would be his best result of the weekend at the moment. This is their third qualifying heat of the weekend so far. So again, as we talk about it, over the crest there, here, that's obviously the newish part of the circuit. They've cut out the chicane that was the formerly used circuit. But now it is kind of just a straight line there out of turns 4 and 5, straight line down towards the turn 6 hairpin. Obviously now deemed as a 14-turn circuit. Previously with that chicane would have made it 16. So it's cut it down a little bit, which is why the times have come down considerably as well since previous races in the past, but still no change between these two. Gap staying the same. Rasmussen there as well, P5, the driver from Denmark as well, has had relatively decent results here. Has always been inside the top 10, a 10th place in his first qualifying heat yesterday. Had a P2 yesterday, though, did Oliver Rasmussen. And you can see here he's closing in on these two. So, again, another driver that you do need to be worried about. Here comes Marsh down the inside through turn number 7. Nicely done. Again, another favourite turn for many drivers to go for the move. The track really widens out to 10 metres wide there, tightens to 8 metres on the apex, opens up again, then tightens again. So a really a challenging turn there for a lot of drivers, but it certainly makes it easy for an overtake, challenging to defend on the corner because it opens up massively. Off the track there, that's not gone well at all. Alois Gillet, unfortunately, the number 90 energy course out of this race. And let's have a look a little further down as well, because we've had some more retirements. We'll keep an eye on the live pictures. But as we say, Alois Gillet, it looks like he's out of the race. If he can get it restarted, absolutely perfect for him. And I think he did get it restarted. But we have lost Paul Andriotis from the race. The Ricky Flynn Motorsport driver is out of it. Michael McGowan is out. Alex Malota and, Jonathan Landstrom. I think he was a retirement before the race even started, which is why we've not seen anything from him. Right, Rasmussen's closed in now on Crayling. So this is where Crayling needs to start to think here, because, again, He's had those good results as off the track there. That's not gone well at all. That is Mariano Lopez off the track. Now, was that with Zhao Zijun, the Ricky Flynn Motorsport driver, because they've tumbled down the order? No, it's the number 11. That's Mats van Rooyen, the CRG driver, out of the race. And, well, that's not gone well at all there. And that's a disaster. He's not had good results this weekend as Mats van Rooyen. He had a great qualifying. Starting this one around the middle of the pack, P14, but it's certainly not gone his way in the first half of the day. This is how it happens. Initial bit of contact there, and then just a little bit more there on the exit, and that is unfortunate. He's already got damage, which is why he's pulled off the circuit. So that was actually really unfortunate then for Mariano Lopez, a driver who wasn't actually involved in the initial incident and just got caught out after the damage there. So that is a big, big shame. Back with this battle here at the front. There's your race leader, your Popular, breaking away. He's 1.2 seconds clear up the road. So at this moment, he's got no drama right now. He can just focus on bringing that kart to the end of the race. Schaufler still there in second place. Has got the close company of Scott Marsh, Crayling, Rasmussen. But Baglin has been one to keep an eye on, and even more so now as he's just received a warning flag as he goes down the inside of Oliver Rasmussen for P5. Any position now that Baglin can gain will help him out, because that will be a 5-second in-race time penalty that will go his way. So he needs to be careful here now. Not sure what that was for, but right now he just needs to focus on trying to pull away here from the likes of Pradier, who's in 8th place, Kelleher, who's in 7th place, Devon Waltz, De Troja, Nick Schoff are all there in the pack behind. As you can see, there's quite a bit of breathing space between the two of them. There's a look at the intermediate classifications at the moment. Poccola with this win would now lead the intermediate classifications, 138 from Baglin's 130. Baglin's in a tricky spot now as well because he's in this race. He's there in P5, but with that 5-second in-race time penalty, he's going to get another position here. This will help him out, but not so much because Kraeling's instantly going to take it back. Baglin back down the inside, is going to say thank you very much, and now this is going to give the chance to Rasmussen. Rasmussen's going to go wheel to wheel, and they make contact through the exit of turn number 10, and Kraeling keeps it on the circuit, keeps his cool, but loses out on 2 positions now. Kraeling down to P6. Amazingly, though, still in this race as we go on to the final lap now. Poccola leads the way from Schaufler. Scott Marsh there in third. There's a pretty nice buffer between these 3. I don't think we're going to see any fireworks between the top 3. We certainly might see some from here, though. Kraeling still in a position to gain a spot on Oliver Rasmussen. Rasmussen, though, looking, well, I was going to say looking confident there, but he checks over the shoulder, and that gives the green light to Kraeling. As soon as you check over the shoulder, that kind of gives an indication to the driver behind that you're not fully comfortable with your position out there, and it just shows. And down the inside and holds on to it does Kraeling. He will gain another position with this one with Baglin with that warning flag, but Joao Poccola, first race of the day, and that's 2 second places yesterday, and starts the day with a race win. Exactly what he needed to kickstart his day. He'll be absolutely delighted with that, will be the Finn. Schaufler, championship leader, finishes in second place ahead then of Scott Marsh. Baglin finishing in P4 ahead of Ian Kraeling. Rasmussen finishing in P6 ahead of Kelleher. Pradir, Volts and De Troja, who round out the top 10. Nikita Nikshov and Eli Christian not having a good race there, starting the front row of the grid, dropping down to P12. Pilopenko finishing in 13th place ahead of Martinez. Krutalov from Scarborough. Then it's Matsui, Callas, Ruggiero, Gallen, Manny, Sun, Lopez, Yeraday, and Domain, who round out the top 25 out on circuit. And Domain was the first of the retirements as well, the last of the retirements, I should say. Quite a few of them in that race. Domain, one of them. Melosa retiring. Mats van Ruin, Sun Zhao Yu, Andriotis, Michael Magau, Alex Malota, Jonathan Landstrom, and Alfie Slater, of course, the non-starter. But that is quite a few retirements then in this point of the race. There are karts just dotted all over the circuit, so there may be a bit of a clean-up operation after this one. A look then at the provisional classification on your screen at the end of that one. And there a look at some of the retirements from there. Say the final finisher on the circuit, Alain Giraud for France in the number 90, finishing in P24. Well, certainly a very dramatic one, but Joao Poccola will be delighted with that. Now leads the intermediate classifications in the junior category. Of course, remember though, Dries van Langendonk is the leader of that. He's got 100 points to his name after 2 qualifying heat wins out of 2. Let's take you through the quick highlights from that one. Initially, good start from Ian Kraeling with Poccola at the opening stage of that race. Kraeling looking relatively comfortable, and the starts have been on it. It's literally just the getting to the end that's been a bit of a challenge. Baglin at the start of that one, diving immediately to try and get an inside line there. That didn't go well. This is what caused a few of the retirements in the early stages. Alex Malota and Michael Magau right at the beginning of that one, 2 drivers that got caught out. Rest of the field, though, pretty clean start for the rest of the order here. This was the first attack from Schaufler down the inside into second place, getting past the likes of Eli Christian, who at that point just really started to fade. Scott Marsh getting through into third place. That would be the order of the 1, 2, 3. They would not change throughout the rest of them. This moment here for Devon Waltz, just getting squeezed down to the grass there. Phenomenal kart control to keep it in, and certainly benefited a handful of drivers. This was Marsh again, back down the inside of Kraeling, really trying to get that one sorted and back out. That's Alain Giraud, who did manage to get restarted. He did finish the race, though, in P24. Scary moment there, unfortunately, for Mats van Ruin. He was out of the race. A very unfortunate moment for Mariano Lopez there, who was not initially involved in the incident, but yeah, had to take to the track in avoidance there of the damaged CRG. Baglin then started to make his moves in the latter stage of the race, but also at that point received that warning flag. So all of this would have been not for nothing, but everything that he'd have gained at this point of the race, he would have lost in post-race penalties, which is very unfortunate. Krayling there, amazing car control as well, just managing to keep it on the circuit, fighting back later on with Rasmussen, going wheel to wheel here on the final lap of the race. Krayling, though, doing his level best, and I think with that position, he would bump him up to P4 with Baglin's penalty on that one as well. So still a good result then for the top ones, but Pokela will be happy with that. That is a great start to the day for the Finn, who was yet to take a race win over the course of yesterday. 2 second places for him. Well, the seniors Group B and F will be coming up next. And again, for them, Jimmy Elias was fastest in morning warm-up. He was looking the strongest in the early stages and was, I would say, looking one of the stronger drivers in the category. But it was dominated a little bit by 3 drivers. Here's the highlights that we caught up with yesterday. Time qualifying kick-started the racing on Thursday for the Champions of the Future Round 4, and it was Dmitry Matviev who started the day on pole position with a brand new lap record for the circuit of a 49.058 in the OK category. But the talk of the town was for the top 3 drivers in all the classes, with Finn McLaughlin, Gabriel Gomez and Dmitry Matviev. It started, though, with McLaughlin, 2 qualifying heat wins out of 2. After a bad second half of the season, this certainly lightens up his weekend. Gabriel Gomez was the next to go out. He was battling fiercely with Zach Drummond, but Gomez would come out on top in both of his qualifying heats after scoring no points in Slovakia. Then it was heavy damage for Guillaume Bouzard, unfortunately, suffering heavy damage to the front of his CRG. He wouldn't end his weekend well. Dmitry Matviev, though, the pole sitter. What could we say about him? A lap record there, and also 2 qualifying heat wins out of 2 sees 3 drivers going into Friday's racing with maximum points. And indeed, maximum points there are for those 3 drivers. 100 points apiece, 2 qualifying heat wins out of 2 for all 3 of them. And I've got to say, later on, with some of our penultimate races that we've got out there, I believe it's groups A versus D for the senior category, you're going to see the likes of those 2 battling away. But we caught up with Jimmy Elias at the end of time qualifying. Here's what he had to say after he polled it. Qualifying practice Group 2 for the Senior OK category is done here for Round 4 of the Champions of the Future. Jimmy Elias, fastest in group. Great time from you. How was it feeling out there?
The feeling was okay, was fine. The chassis was fine. And what I think we need to work more to be on the top Sunday on the final and try to win.
Yeah. The pace there, 2/10 off what we saw in the first group, so there is still there's still time to be found out there. Do you reckon that can be found overnight and ready for the qualifying heat?
Yeah, for sure. We need to find more again, but I think the problem is not 2/10. Is the track probably changed a bit with the wind and everything, so I think it's fine.
Okay, excellent. Well, this weekend is certainly going to be a challenge. There's championship fights going along, and in your group out there, you had one of the championship contenders. And what would it mean if you could really get involved in that one throughout this weekend?
But I will try to play the championship also, but my first objective now is to try to win the all heat and probably the final Sunday if we make well everything.
Well, you started off well to try and achieve that. Congratulations, well done, faster than group.
Thank you.
Well, great to catch up there with Jimmy Elias at the end of his time qualifying. Second fastest overall in time qualifying for him, which is why he starts on pole for Group B. But he's got Finn McLaughlin starting alongside him for this one. He was one of the drivers, 2 qualifying heat wins out of 2 yesterday. And this is exactly what Finn needs. He's had a bit of a challenging season this year, some points coming his way. He won, obviously, the first round of the championship, exactly what he needed, but round 2 and round 3 didn't go his way at France or Slovakia. Engines fire up then. Let's take you through the starting lineup for the first senior race of the day. It's Jimmy Elias and Finn McLaughlin who start this one on the front row of the grid. Louis Iglesias and Matt Corby on row 2. Lewis Francis and Matthias Morgato go from row 3. They've got Joe Turney and Vanguard Clementson on row 4. Then it's Ludovico Busso and Andy Consani with Alpac Soy and Leo Nilsson on row 6. Alexander Chartier and Luna Flusha go from row 7. Casper Henriksen and Jensen Graham on row 8. They'll have Guy Alberghino and Bernardo Benoldi on row 9. Silianos Konovos and Tord Ragstad go from row 10. Then you've got Oscar Repetto and Peter Stiller. Peter Stiller choosing to deploy a brand new set of tyres on the left-hand side of his wagon. Tom Dussel and Michael Adair round out row number 12. They'll have Tom Luye and Hugo Rajamet on row 13. Maximilian Rafalik and Filippo Donazan go from row 14. Suleiman Zanfari, another driver who's deployed fresh set of tyres on the left-hand side of his kart, will go from row 15. We'll have Noel Sundberg for company in the top 30 drivers out there. Vilgot Leek and Radek Favre go from row 16, with Simon Peng rounding out the 33 kart field. All drivers have made their way out onto the circuit. There you saw a brief look, confirmation of the intermediate classifications. 3 drivers with maximum points out there. And like I said earlier on, before we spoke to Jimmy Elias there briefly after his time qualifying, we are expected to see those two battling, Dmitry Matviev and Gabriel Gomez, later on today when it's Groups A versus D. They've not raced each other yet, and both of them have got 2 qualifying heat wins out of 2. We're going to see those two have an absolutely superb battle. And they both start on the front row of the grid. So I would set your alarm clocks for that one. That one's due to go out on track at about 12:15 today. But don't go anywhere, because we've got some fabulous racing that is about to take to the circuit. Jimmy Eliasson, he was second in time qualifying, starting in Group B. Pole position for him over the course of yesterday, and 2 second places out of 2. Brilliant results for himself, but he's still been eluded that first qualifying heat win of the weekend. Can he get it done in this one? But McLaughlin, with his double wins, will have something to say about that. We are racing, and it's a great start from Elias, though. McLaughlin gets swamped by the pack. He drops down to about P5. Iglesias is there in second place. He's had a good start. Then it's the 2 Kart Republics now going wheel to wheel. Lewis Francis and Joe Turney. There is a DPK off the track there on the exit, and there's several more as well that I've just spotted out of the commentary box window, and they all start with Jensen Graham out there. Bernardo Benoldi is another one. Oscar Repetto, I think, was the DPK that was there off the track. Michael Adair and Hugo Rajamet as well. All off the circuit. That is a big moment there, and Marshall's quickly on the scene, doing a brilliant job to clear the circuit, which keeps us green and racing. The track all good. Drivers making their way back down in towards turn number 1, but drivers right now need to focus here. The drivers just crossing onto the circuit there. They're all good as the field makes their way down in towards turn number 4 and 5. This is good here for Elias. He's broken away. He's got about a half-second lead here from Iglesias. Turney's now up to 3rd place. McLaughlin's got past Francis as well. McLaughlin's going to get past Turney as well. That is nicely done for Finn McLaughlin. The pace of that VDK kart is absolutely on it. Now, you have to remember, VDK, one of the satellite teams here, racing on the Kart Republic chassis, battling away there with a factory Kart Republic chassis and driver there in the form of Joe Turney. Joe currently 2nd in the championship as well, needing these results. More drama, and this is at turn 7, and I think this is Tom Luye and Peter Stiller off the circuit. That is a big moment for them. Stiller losing out on a lot of positions there, the same as Michael Adair. He's also lost out quite a bit there as well. So again, big moments there, and understandably yellow flags into the hairpin, so no overtaking will be permitted. Yeah, there's drivers just on the exit of the turn. But now we're back to green flag and racing, and McLaughlin here, pace is absolutely on it. Really strong performance. He's latched right onto the rear bumper of Iglesias, and there, unfortunately, well, there you can see it, Tom Luye and Peter Stiller. Peter Stiller, who deployed that fresh set of tyres, now losing out on them. McLaughlin now up into second, gets the job done. Can now go on the charge to Jimmy Elias, who's in the lead of this one. Remember, Elias, who's yet to take a qualifying heat win. McLaughlin, who's yet to lose a qualifying heat at the moment, now has effectively 9.5 laps to close in. That is plenty of time, and there you can see fastest lap of the race. Turney now down the inside. He's going to go for third place on Iglesias, and he moves up. Now, Turney's best result this weekend has been a third place. He's had a fifth place in his first qualifying heat as well. Qualifying not the best we'd expect from Turney, but still a very good qualifying nonetheless. It's not one of those where he's been caught out and gone right to the back of the field, where we have seen him recovered for in previous events. Right now, Turney focusing and holding on to third place. On board here with the Brazilian Matias Morgado for the Leclerc by Lennox team. And as you can see, started this race in P6, currently still P6. He's not gained or lost anything, but he has got Luis Francis just ahead of him here, who's trying to get past Luis Iglesias. So he has been setting fastest times. He was the fastest driver earlier on. That's been taken away, though, from McLaughlin, as we can see. But you can see here the gap to fifth place is coming down just that little bit. He is closing in. He is smooth and calm. Fabulous pictures here from the RGMMC crew here with the live onboard pictures, really showing the physicality of the Åsum Ring circuit here in Kristianstad. A little bit of oversteer there at the exit out of turn 14 for Morgado, but he crests the hill now as they head back downhill in through the chicane. Very fast through here, big curves as well there. So you do have to be careful on that part of the track. McLaughlin, another fastest lap of the race, 50.305, is starting to reel in. Jimmy Elias here. The battle for the lead is certainly going to be on right now. Elias, I can imagine he's going to fight it here. He's not had a qualifying heat win. He needs to try and break the rhythm of at least one of these drivers at the moment at the front, because you've got to remember Matveev, Gomez and McLaughlin, all of them have had 2 qualifying heat wins out of 2 so far. They are the drivers that they need to beat. And right now, Elias is doing exactly what he needs to do here. Time is running out. We're on lap 7 of 13, but there is still plenty of time here for McLaughlin to close in. And looking at the sectors, well, McLaughlin was actually a tenth slower through sector 1 on this lap. Did set the fastest lap on that last one. I've got to say, though, it was hundredths of a second faster, so very minimal between these two. But sector 1 on that last one, Elias was faster. Sector 2, McLaughlin goes purple, so it is just chopping and changing between these two. But it's always better to be the chaser, and down the inside through turn 14, McLaughlin takes the lead as he looks to go for his 3rd qualifying heat out of 3. Now, this is interesting because, of course, Gomez and Matveev will be racing against each other. So only one of them, if either of them, at the moment, could lose out on battling with McLaughlin here, because McLaughlin now with the lead sets another fastest lap of the race, 50.204, a very quick time at this point of the weekend. These are used and abused tyres at the moment. This is their 3rd race they would have done on these tyres. He's not deployed a new set yet. Of course, Peter Stiller had. Suleiman Zamfari was another driver who deployed a fresh set of tyres out there, and is a driver who has made positions in this one. Suleiman Zamfari currently up into P17, 12 places gained in the race. The driver for VDK Racing certainly having a good run. The same could be said for Radek Vavra for the ASD Monster K Factory team in the 307. 11 places gained, currently up into 21st place. There, though, a look at the intermediate classifications. Once again, confirmation, 150 points going to Finn McLaughlin. Maximum points at this point of the weekend, and exactly what he needs. Again, they get championship points for the qualifying heats phase. they get championship points for the superheats phase, and they get championship points for the finals as well. And so far in this season, we were talking about McLaughlin, great round at Valencia, good points in all the qualifying heats and superheats phase, and of course the final, won the final in Valencia, did Finn McLaughlin. But the points that he scored in the last 2 rounds in France, scored only 2 championship points in that one, no points in the final, and as well in Slovakia, minimal points. So he's had a tough couple of previous rounds, but it's really coming strong in this second one. Battle here though, Elias and Turney. Turney has closed in here, but as well is trying to hold off the likes of the field behind. Iglesias still there in P4. Morgato's got past Francis as well. That battle's all kicked off in the background. That's what you're seeing here. That's allowed Matt Corby to close in as well. Matt Corby, who started this one on the second row of the grid, has dropped back just that little bit to P7. But a P7 would be his second best result of the weekend. His best result being a P5, P9 in his second race yesterday for Corby. So a couple of positions here will certainly help him out as we're on lap 11 of 13 right now. Corby is looking strong. Quite a few Kart Republics in the sharp end of this grid. Of course, again, Corby on a VDK, another one of the satellite Kart Republic drivers out there battling away with a factory Kart Republic driver. A carbon copy between Turney and McLaughlin. We've got it here with Corby and Francis as well. And on the final turn, back across the start-finish line. Check over the shoulder there for Francis, just to see what's happening. And at the moment is clear, a little bit by a few tenths of a second, so he hasn't got too much that he needs to worry about right now. Other drivers who have impressed in this race, Luna Flusha for the Prema Racing team, the Mercedes-backed driver, up into the top 10, has got a gain of 4 places and now has that clear track just ahead. Alpac Soy, as well as on the live pictures there down the inside on the right-hand side of your screen. Corby makes the move on Francis as we've got the live on board from Morgato trying to chase down Luis Iglesias for P4. But now that brings in that the drivers behind just that little bit more now. Andy Consani in the Sodi kart has closed in. Consani, who started this one P10, has had some good results over the course of this weekend, but pushing himself strong in this one, trying to gain 1 or 2 more places in this race as we go on to the final lap of this 13-lap race. McLaughlin's lead now extends to 0.6 of a second as he continues to try and break away from Jimmy Elias. I mean, Elias can be happy with this. Another second place, he can be delighted with that one. It's still good results, puts him up in a strong position. He's second in the intermediate classifications at the moment, of course, barring Matveev and Gomez, who have got the 100 points to his name. McLaughlin, though, this is starting to be a really strong weekend for the Irishman. Out of the final corner, makes it 3 out of 3 for McLaughlin as he crosses the line. Jimmy Elias makes it 3 out of 3 for second place as well. Turney gets third place, matches his best result as he got yesterday, ahead of Luis Iglesias finishing in P4. He matches his best results from yesterday also. Morgato finishes in P5 ahead of Matt Corby. Francis finishes in P7 ahead of Annie Consani. Alpac Soy finishes in 9th ahead of Luna Flusha, who rounds out the top 10. Leo Nielsen finishes in P11 ahead of Alexander Chartier. Guy Alberghino ahead of Stilianos Kolovos finishing in P14. Casper Henriksen rounds out the top 15 out on circuit. There, though, intermediate classifications, McLaughlin with 150, Elias and Turney, Morgato, and then Iglesias and Francis at the moment with those points. But remember, Matveev and Gomez are yet to go out on circuit. They will be out later on today. And they have, of course, 100 intermediate classification points to their name. Here's a look then at the provisional classifications at the end of qualifying Heat B versus F for the senior category. We have gone over the top 15. 16th place downwards sees Tom Dussel at a good race. 7 places gained into P16. Vanguard Clementson finishing in 17th place ahead of Maximum Rafalek, who gained 9 places to finish in P18. Sulaiman Zanfari with the new tyres on the left-hand side of his kart with a gain of 10 places, finishes in 19th ahead of Ludovico Busso. Radek Vavra gaining 11 places, finishes in P21. Tord Rugstad finishing in 22nd place ahead of Noelsenberg in 23rd, 7 places gained. Denanzan finishing in 24th place ahead of Wilgot Leek, and Simon Payne rounding out the 26th finishers, a gain of 7 places. Several retirements in that race. Michael Adair, Tom Luyer, Peter Stiller, Jensen Graham, Bernardo Bonaldi, Oscar Petto, and Hugo Rajmets, unfortunately all retiring from that race. Replays here then of the race, and the start of that one, well, McLaughlin was the talk of the town, really pushing his way through. The start wasn't his, though, dropping down to P5, but certainly made it up in that race as well. Turney, again, a really good start for him, matching his race results that he had yesterday. Later on in the race, some big moments there out of turn at number 7. Big sideways, side-by-side moments. Lap 7, McLaughlin would take the lead on Elias. I thought Elias would put up a bit more of a fight for that lead battle, but again, you know, 3 second places is still good results there for him. But across the line, checker flag would come out, and it would be a superb start to the day then for the Irishman. Finn McLaughlin maxes out his intermediate classification points. Certainly puts the ball straight back into Matviev's and Gomez side of the court as they go out later on. But they are racing each other, so only one of them can get the win, if either of them. OK Junior, qualifying heat C versus E now is about to make its way onto the circuit. Back to 11 laps, and yesterday, Boris Lysen certainly having the good day, the Polish driver. 2 third-place finishes for him yesterday after starting on pole position, and was the 3rd fastest driver in time qualifying as well. He was certainly very delighted with it as well. The driver starting just on the right-hand side of your screen there as well, who's getting a lot of focus from the media there. Zhang Jose, best qualifying result for him over this weekend, but the driver who started on pole position, we caught up with him. Boris Lysen, here's what he had to say.
Well, qualifying practice Group 2 is done and dusted for the OK Junior category, and Boris Lysen, a.k.a. the Little Pineapple, is fastest in Group. Boris, congratulations, brilliant time. How did you feel out there?
Thank you very much. Of course, like, it was a decent lap. I really thank Sodi Kart Racing team for a great package, so I could have done pole in my group. Yeah, for sure, like, it's just like to open the doors to maybe do something more this weekend. But yeah, sure, I'm very happy.
Excellent stuff. Not fastest for outright pole, but the pace very, very quick out there. It's going to be a competitive weekend. Are you ready for it?
Yeah, of course. I was also like first on warm-up, so for sure, like, we got the pace. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that we can make some pretty good results.
Excellent. Well, congratulations. A great start to the weekend. We'll see you out there in the qualifying heats.
Thank you. See you.
Well, big smiles on the face there for Boris Lysen. And like you say, really, really strong results for what he is dubbed as the Little Pineapple. He did tell me that yesterday. He has got a little pineapple on the NASA panel of his kart, and I asked him the question, what is that little pineapple there for? And he said, oh, that's what my mum nicknamed me as. So there we go. Thanks, Mum. I will call him that throughout the entirety of the weekend. There is a look at what you can expect coming up in the next few hours. Of course, we've got the next race coming up very, very soon at 11:15 with Groups B and E for them. Then it just goes on and on throughout the day, alternating between OK and Juniors. They can see Groups B and E, D and F, A and C. They start later on today. At the end of Groups B versus E, though, for the senior categories, which will be Heat 20 of the day. That's where it goes into the lunch break. We'll be gone for around about an hour's time. But in that time as well, if you are watching on YouTube, the stream will end at that point, and there'll be a second YouTube stream for the second half of the day. If you are watching on Facebook or on motorsport.tv, don't panic, because the stream stays uninterrupted and it goes all the way to the end of the day. But that is just a reminder if you are watching on YouTube. Well, there you can see the drivers getting themselves lined up and ready. There is Boris Lysen, and I'm wondering if we can have a quick look at that nose cone. There it is, the little pineapple that is. And there we go. He get himself lined up ready for this one, fully focused. But great to see that one. Yesterday, 2 third-place finishes for him. So again, he's looking for a top 2, maybe even a qualifying heat win for this one. He'll have Zhang Jose starting alongside him as the engines fire up. Let's take you through the full starting lineup for OK Junior qualifying heat C versus E. It's Boris Leisen and Zhang Jose starting on the front row of the grid. Bruno Greek and Filippo Sala round out row number 2. William Kalija and Jacopo Martinez go from row 3. Martinez, who took a race win yesterday, starts this one on the 3rd row of the grid. Christian Costoya as well, a qualifying heat win, starts this one on the 4th row of the grid. We'll have Kiera Fairhand alongside. Then it's Rocco Coronel, who's second in the championship. We'll have Roland Nagy alongside. Gustavo da Silva and Manuel Guez go from row number 6. Then it's Jack Iliv and Simas Bachuska on row 7. Remy Samchek and Herbertus Palm go from row 8. They'll have Roman Kamyab and Melvin Kaludian on row 9. Vladimir Vanikov and Klara Kowalczyk go from row 10. They'll have James Anagnostiadis and Florentine Hattemer on row 11. Jesse Phillips and Asher Osteen go from row 12. They'll have Sky Parker and Marco Gast on 13. Then it's Filippo Pancotti and Benjamin Maniac on row 14. Alexander Dahlstrom and Maximus Unt go from row 15. And the field is round out on row 16 with Ebi Razum and Devin Grabko at the 32 kart spot on the grid. A look at the intermediate classifications. Your Pockel, after that win earlier on, currently leads the intermediate classifications with 138 points to his name. But of course, a reminder that technically, Dries van Langendonk leads the intermediate classifications with the 2 qualifying heat wins that he had earlier on in the weekend yesterday. So again, that is still what these drivers are fighting for. They're fighting to gain as much points as they can to try and break Van Langendonk, and of course he'll be out in the next junior race. And there are plenty of drivers out there that could certainly take it to him to break that streak, but we'll have to wait for that one later on. We're nearing the end of the formation lap. Drivers have already passed the red line on the circuit. That red line is to indicate you should be in 2x2 rolling formation and there is no overtaking permitted. But they get themselves all formed up into the grids, and we are racing for the second time today in the junior category, and it's a good start for Zhang Jose. Gets the jump on Boris Leisen and goes through one of the Ward Racing cuts there, cutting the chicane. I think that was Bruno Greek, and it's been disastrous at the back of the field there. So many karts involved, and it looks like it starts with Gustavo da Silva. It looks like Herbertus Palm is one of them as well. Melvin Kalustian is another, but he's got going again. Klara Kowalczyk is one, and Florentine Hattemer. You can see there it was Klara Kowalczyk pulling her kart off the circuit. That's Florentine Hattemer pulling his kart back onto the circuit. So it's been a tough start to the race there for a handful of drivers. But again, that first chicane just plays havoc, but all that happened at the first turn on the circuit. The grandstand will have got a great view of that one as the field makes their way back round to start another lap. Zhang Jose then for China leads the way for the Ricky Flynn Motorsport team. Half a second lead from Boris Leisen, who is looking for his first qualifying heat win of the weekend. Big send down the inside. Here comes the Paralins. And that looks like it's Costoya and Verhan making the move. Martinez gets through as well. Bruno Creek down to 7th place now. So it's not been a great opening lap here. Still eyes on this one. Greek has got Coronel right on his rear bumper. Rocco Coronel, who sits comfortable at the moment in the championship, P2 in the championship, has got a handful of points behind Nicholas Schaufler, but he is battling with Dries van Langendonk in the championship standing. So good results here are needed for Rocco Coronel as he tries to push his way forward. Here's Martinez down the inside, gets through on Bruno Greek, and through as well goes Jack Iliff. Now, Martinez's not had the best start to his race in this one. He had good results yesterday. A win in his first qualifying heat win, then got a third in his second qualifying heat win. But we'll cut back to that later on as action here as William Kalija from Australia is under pressure from Boris Leisen. Now, he got past Leisen earlier on and is trying to break away here. But right now, Leisen is sticking with him here in P3. Costoya, another one of the Paralins, is trying to close in as well. So 3 Paralympians currently up in the top 5 in the form of Kalesia, Kostoja and Kerea Fairhand as well in the number 100. They are just behind this battle that is coming up on your screen. Big check over the shoulder there for Kalesia, just to suss out the situation. Lysen still there just in the background. Gap is opened up now at the front. Zhang Jose now with over a second lead here from William Kalesia. Zhang Jose yesterday, 3rd place in his first, 8th in his second qualifying heat. Certainly having a good one in this one. Here's a look then at the start of the race. The front was interesting. Lysen didn't get the best getaway, but it all kicked off at the back. Now, what happened here? A spin straight away at the start. And, well, it looked like a completely separate incident there on the outside. So I thought we were going to see the Brill there go back into the middle of the track. So it was actually Gustavo da Silva, the first kart to actually go round. That was the distraction from the actual incident that happened on the outside, which unfortunately we lost Herbertus Palm, Clara Kowalczyk and Florentine Hattemer from that race. Devon Grabko was another driver involved in that one, but managing to get going again. Back with this one, here is Coronel. He's got Kerea Fairhand behind, Martinez and Sala also. Martinez now the fastest driver on the circuit as well, 51.729. Has closed in on these two ahead. And a look back at how this overtake was done. Just down the inside there, in towards turn number 7. And actually, no, that's turn 4 and 5. So that's actually the earlier part of the lap. That's how Coronel managed to get past. Again, one of many favourite overtaking opportunities, as well as the final corner. As down the inside, Jacopo Martinez gets up into P6 now and tries to push himself forward. Remember, Martinez's best result, or worst result yesterday, was 3rd place. So he is looking to try and capitalise a little bit more on this one, but he is 2.6 seconds away from the race leader. Kalesia now is starting to close in on our race leader as well. The gap is down to 0.6 of a second, so he's taken a bit of chunk of time out. Here is Kostoja going down the inside of Boris Lysen. That's the move for 3rd place. So that is nicely done. Kostoja pushing his way forward. Kostoja's worst result is a P4. His best result is a qualifying heat win. So, again, he's looking to really capitalise on this one. Kostoja, who was the final winner last time out in Slovakia, is not shabby to taking race wins over the course of a race weekend. So do keep a close eye on him as the weekend progresses. Zhao, though, still leads the way. And the gap now down to half a second here. So it is coming down, but Kostoja as well equally is closing in on Kalesia. So the 2 Paralympians here have an opportunity to work together here to close in on the Ricky Flynn driver of Zhang Jose. But the gap now is just staying consistent. Pocler at the moment still leads the intermediate classifications for this one. Kostoja bumps himself up to 3rd. Martinez 4th at the moment with that, but all the positions that he gains will close that gap up just that little bit more. But he's still a handful of points behind, and he's still got a little bit of real estate hit there between himself and Rocco Coronel, who sits in P5. We're on lap 8 of 11 of this race. It is still Zhang Jose who leads the way from Kalesia, Kostoja, Lysen, Coronel and Martinez. A look further back in the field while we keep an eye on the lead battle here that is slowly closing in. Sky Parker has made good moves up into P14 after a gain of 11 places. Here's a look at the start again. Right, okay, so we saw that we lost the Bureau, Gustavo da Silva on the inside, but what happened on the outside? It was about 3-4 karts into one there. And well, all these drivers here, I think, seemingly were just on the outside line, victims of what was, well, a tough inside race. Here again, another angle of it, and it's just in the background there off shot. There was Gustavo da Silva going round, and was that maybe in the viewing point of drivers on the other side? They were sweeping to the outside, and unfortunately there were already karts there, and it was just a concertina effect, and unfortunately if you're on the outside there of turn 1, you got caught out. Here we go, Coronel's closed in here. on Boris Lysin as they go to work, and Coronel's going to instantly go for the move. He's going to utilize his fastest lap of the race. He's going to utilize the pace that he had on that previous lap and get past now into P4 as he tries to close in. Well, we'll keep an eye on Zhang Jose. That gap is down to 0.2 of a second, as out of the race now is Roland Nagy. Unfortunately, the DPK Racing driver is out of this race and walks to the marshal post. There's a big shame there. Eyes on this one here. Well, here we go. It's all kicked off, and we've already had a change for the lead. Kalesia's got through. So William Kalesia's got through into the race lead. Zhang Jose in second place. And now had a little bit close call there with Kostoya, who really closed in under braking. These battles here is allowing the drivers to close in. There we go, down the inside for Kostoya. Finds the gap and moves up now into P2. But we are on lap 10 of 11 right now. There is not a lot of time. I don't think Kostoya is going to have enough to close into Kalesia. But we'll keep an eye on this one. On the inside, Boris Lysin looking like he was wanting to go for a late lunge there into the final turn as we go on to the final lap of this race. Martinese's closed in now on this lead group as well. So again, we could see some action here from Martinese, who has been looking quick all the way throughout this weekend. So Kalesia leads the way from Kostoya. Zhang Jose holding on to third place. Here's how, well, here's a replay. This was the change for the lead. So it actually happened into the final corner down the inside of turn 14. That's how it was done. Zhang Jose, though, is not giving up any more positions as I say that. Coronel goes down the inside through turn 10 and moves up now into P3. This is exactly what Coronel needs. He's pushed his way right through the field. Started this one P9 as we're 3 wide on the exit. Look at that out of turn 14. Martinese gets 2 positions and moves up into P4 at the end of that one. It's still his worst result of the weekend, a P4, but it's definitely better than P6. So it's Kalesia who takes the win then ahead of Kostoya. It's a 1-2 for Parallel Motorsports. Coronel finishing in P3 ahead of Martinese. Boris Lysin finishing in P5 ahead of Zhang Jose, who unfortunately drops down to P6 at the end of that one. Won't be fully happy with that one, but it's still a good result nonetheless. Consistently staying within the top 10. Filippo Sala finishing in P7 ahead of Jack Iliff. Manuel Miguez finishing in P9 ahead of Bruno Greek. Then it's Vladimir Ivanikov from Roman Kamiab, Sky Parker, Pierre Fairhand, Benjamin Maniac, who rounds out the top 15 as the drivers make their way back into Parc Ferme. To get all checked out, of course, all those results provisional, of course. And here they are on your screen, the top 15 we've gone over. Biggest movers in the top 15. Sky Parker, 12 places gained. Benjamin Maniac, of course, as well. 13 places gained to finish inside that top 15. Remy Samchek finishes in 16th place, right behind right in front of Alexander Dahlstrom, who gained 12 places in the race. Filippo Vancotti with a gain of 9 finishes in 18th ahead of James Anagnostiadis, and Maximus Untu gained 10 places. Jesse Phillips from Asher Oshtein finishing in 21st and 22nd. Kaluzdian and Prachishka finishing in 23rd and 24th. Then it's Marco Gas and Ebi Razum with Gustavo da Silva finishing in 27th place. A loss of 16 places after that spin at the start. Devin Grabko finishing the last of the race finishes in that one in 28th place. 4 retirements. Roland Nagy, the last of those, unfortunately, retiring near the end of the race. Herbertus Palm, Clara Kowalczyk and Florentine Hattemer, though, all at the start of the race. This was a look at it. You can see on the inside there, Gustavo da Silva getting squeezed out onto the inside. And then on the outside, there was the other drivers who all got caught out there. Herbertus Palm, Clara Kowalczyk, Florentine Hattemer, and more as well. Unfortunately, some of the drivers not able to get it restarted. Another look of what happened, and yeah, you can just see there, not the moment you want. I think with Jack Iliff in the background there in the Forza car too, he literally just got tagged by into the corner, and of course the speed that they're going at that point just pushed them into the inside line. Early overtakes at the beginning. Well, Zhang Jose broke away at the start. The gap opened up to over in a second. I thought that was going to be signed, sealed and done, but the parallels of Kalija and Kostoya slowly started to make their way through the field, the same as Jacopo Martinez, who didn't get the best start in the race after starting P6. He was on the outside of that one. An off-track excursion there for Marco Gas, the driver from Denmark for the Fusion Motorsport team, going wide there on the exit of, I believe, turn 5. Coronel getting the move through turn 5 as well. He started to make his way through the field, getting up into 3rd place at the end of that race. 6 places gained for the Dutchman, who is certainly having a good season, fighting in the championship as well. This was the likes of Kostoy getting past Boris Lysen, who would finish P5 at the end of the race. So again, good qualifying. Race pace though, struggling just that little bit. And again, it's easily done, of course. And unfortunately at that point there, Roland Nagy out of the race, retiring with only a handful of laps to go. This was the interesting part here. First change of the race lead. William Kalija down the inside through turn 14. The Australian taking the race win at the end of that one ahead of Kostoya. Coronel, though, gaining some really good places. But eyes were focused on Jacopo Martinez just behind, who were closed in on Lysen. And with these overtakes, with these battles happening, look at this, into the final corner. Lysen down the inside. Zhang Jose invites Martinez to go down the inside and gains 2 places on that final corner on the final lap. But it would be Kalija from Kostoya, Coronel rounding out the top 3 at the end of qualifying heat C versus E. We'll see these groups out later on today. We'll see groups E out before the lunch break. They'll be against groups B later on. We'll see group C out a lot later in the second half of the day at around 2:45 time for groups C. That'll be, of course, Lysen, Kalija, Kostoya, all of that. Group C and E, though, for the senior category now gets itself ready for this one. And there on your screen, Zach Drummond, again, good race results. He's had 2 second places, and it was a good qualifying as well. We caught up with him after his qualifying. Well, qualifying practice Group 3 for the senior category is done, and Zach Drummond fastest in group. Congratulations, a superb time for out there. Pretty close though. You only had Finn McLaughlin 0.05 of a second behind you, but how did you feel out there?
Yeah, I felt like, the kart felt amazing. Everything was gripped up, and for every corner it was just gliding through on rails. So I think that's what really made me get the pole position in the 3rd group.
Exactly, that's what you needed. But let's talk about that because, yeah, outright pole, 0.2 faster out there. That was a quick time. We spoke to Jimmy Elias. He was saying conditions may have been at play for that one. What do you make of that? How do you feel it was?
Definitely, I think the track may have been a bit better because it's getting a bit hot now and the tyres tend to slide a bit more. Like, the pressure goes higher. But yeah, that time was really fast, 49.0s. But then the 2 other groups have been quite equal, 22 and 23. It's pretty close.
So it's going to be a competitive weekend of racing, I think, what we can gather from that one. This track, though, very open for overtakes. So many opportunities out there for drivers. Do you feel like there could be a bit of a challenge holding off the rest of the field here?
Yeah, definitely a lot more overtaking opportunities than much other tracks. I think there's about 10 or something, but also every driver is so close, the times, everybody's within a 10th and so close.
Just don't know who to call it on, do you? So, well, fabulous start to the weekend, though, pole position in group, and we'll see you out there in the qualifying heats. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, Zach Drummond there, clearly happy with his qualifying session. 3rd fastest driver overall at the end of the qualifying phase, but certainly a driver who knows how to pedal around the circuit. There is Yuri Peschel, who starts this one on the front row of the grid. Good qualifying for him as well, certainly putting himself in a strong position and has had good results, 2nd place and a 3rd yesterday. Is certainly putting him in a strong position for today, and of course we'll see his progression as the weekend goes on, but certainly has had those good results. We'll have the likes of Roland Cooklane starting just behind him as well on the 2nd row of the grid in P4. Davide Pitaro joining on that second row of the grid. Now, groups C versus E, they've all had some pretty challenging races at the moment. No race wins within any one of these grids within the top 8 out there over the course of this weekend. So these drivers here really now have a chance of getting those 50 intermediate classification points to their name. But again, they have to remember that McLaughlin's got the maximum points, and the likes of Dmitry Matveev and Gabriel Gomez also with 100 points to their name, maximum points. Only one of them will get the maximum, though, at the end of the first half of the day. Qualifying heat C versus Z makes his way out to the track. Let's take through the full starting lineup. Zach Drummond and Yuri Peschel go from row number 1. Then it's Davide Botaro and Roland Cooklane on row 2. Scott Lindblom and Noah Montero round out row number 3. They'll have Salim Hana and Pedro Hiltbrand on row 4. Tiziano Monza and Javier Ramirez round out the top 10. They go from row 5. They'll have Jakub Kamenek and Andrea Dupe on row 6. Emily Koivisto and Ivo Bastardo go from row 7 ahead of Hugo Marti. And Matteo Giaccardi on row 8. Maria Neto and Blake Nash go from row 9. They'll have David Cosma and Louis Castellini going from the top 20 on row 10. Ian Eichmans, who's had a pretty tough weekend so far, goes from row 11. We'll have Fred Sadeks alongside. Alexander Spetz and Santino Panetta go from row 12. Kai Hunter from the United Kingdom will have Jakub Rashki from Poland on row 13. Then it's Leon Brunner and Timo Jungling on row 14. Haitian Deng and Raheem Alabai go from row 15. It's Theodore Bergson and Emma Scarborough on row 16. Elias Kavisto round out the 33-kart field. There's a look at your intermediate classifications on your screen. Confirmation McLaughlin with the maximum points is leading the way in that order. So let's see what will happen for the rest of the field. Of course, Elias second at the moment with 132. But the leading driver in this one doesn't actually sit anywhere within the top 8 in the intermediate classification. So again, all of these drivers here looking to see what they can do to really push themselves forward in this race. They've got a great opportunity of getting the maximum 50 intermediate classification points to their name. And it all starts with Zach Drummond on pole position for this one. Like I say, Peschel is a driver who's been quick, the same as Scott Lindblom. Lindblom obviously stepping up into the senior category in the second half of this season, has abandoned his junior crusade as we go racing in the race here in C versus E. And it's a good start from Drummond and Peschel. They break away. Well, Peschel's dropped down to 3rd. Botaro's had a better start. He's got up into 2nd place. Lindblom still there in P4 as the field go through. It's a little bit choppy and changing there. There are karts going wide. One of the Brilzets, the 216 going wide there. That's Ian Eichmans. Oh, what a bad day. Gets even worse, and that's another retirement. It's the 334 that's gone on the track. That's Alexander Spetz, unfortunately, for the KH Racing team. The Swedish driver is out of this one. Another driver has had drama. That's the 271 that's off the circuit. That's Emili Koivisto on the Falcon kart, who's had a dismal start as well. He's stalled. He's not going. He's out of this race as well. 2 retirements and a bad start for Eichmans. It's the opening lap. At the front of this one, it's Drummond who gets away well. Botaro there in 2nd place. Peschel down to 3rd. Lindblom is there in P4, though. Roland Cooklane with a good start to his race. Currently P5. You can see him there just in the background. He needs a good result on this one. He had a 3rd place in his first yesterday. That was a good result, but his 2nd resulted in a DNF. So he does not want another result like that today, but he leads the train behind. Lindblom down the inside of Yuri Peschel and moves up into 3rd place. Gets that one done through turn number 9. A tricky corner to get it done. You've got the little kink of turn 8 just before it. So speaking to a lot of drivers, they say it is a corner you can get an overtake done. We have just witnessed this there, but it is tricky to get it done there. So nice little overtake from Lindblom, who starts his career in the senior category. He started it at Slovakia last time out, and this time around here in Sweden, certainly going his way. The top 4 then looking comfortable as Roland Cooklane sets the fastest lap of the race. So that gap behind is closing in. He's broken away from Silimana in the Prema kart. And pushing forward now is Roland Kucklane for the Ward Racing team. Obviously, Ward Racing team, the Swedish team, I suspect has got a lot of knowledge of the circuit here in Kristianstad. So they're putting that to work here with their drivers having some relatively decent results over the course of the day. But the CRG there of Bataro looking strong as they make their way down in towards turn number 1 and 2 through the chicane. It's action here again as they make their way down in towards turn number 4 again. Action all the way throughout the circuit still though. Look down further in the field. Timo Jungling's made up 10 places so far in this race. He's punched himself up into 18th place out on the circuit. Rahim Alabai, also from Kart Republic Motorsport, the American driver who's come over, 9 places gained up into P21. This is his first time racing here in Europe, and having a good, strong performance here. His obviously plan is to step over from the US. I caught up with him briefly at the beginning of the weekend, saying that, you know, these tracks in Europe are slightly different to what we get in the USA, but certainly he is enjoying his racing here at the moment, and certainly so with the racing that we're seeing here. Still Drummond who leads the way from Scott Lindblom, now up into 2nd place, gain of 3 places here, and he's starting to close in on Drummond, pushing his way forward right now. He's a little wide at the exits of turn number 6 there as he pushes his way through, but still, Eschel there in 4th place. He's in a position here to potentially get Bataro. But as they make their way through, see there on your screen, the gap really closing in here. Now, Roland Kucklane has closed in. The Ward Racing driver has closed the gap up to Yuri Peschel just behind. And we could see some fireworks between these two drivers. Back down the hill they go in towards turn number 1. And it is still Drummond from Lindblom. The gap 5/10 of a second. Keep an eye on that as it progresses. The sun shines here at Kristianstad. It was a really treacherous day with the first couple of days of practice for the drivers. Rain played the circuit, but the temperature now 18 degrees here. Patchy cloud, a lot of blue sky out there. Some fabulous weather conditions that we've got at the moment for racing, and I'm sure a nicer change for the drivers. We've had some dismal weather in France. We had a lot of rain there. Slovakia as well. We had sunshine as we go down the inside for Kucklane. Gets up into P4 on Peschel. Waits for the final corner of the lap. Gets that one done and goes on the charge now between these two drivers. Back here with Lindblom, and he's still trying to close in on Drummond, but it's, like I say, it's thousandths of a second he's gaining out of Drummond here. So it is going to be a challenge. Hugo Marti now with the fastest lap of the race. Hugo Marti, the privateer who sits in 12th place at the moment, certainly having a good run. Gain of 3 places. He's battling away with Giacardi and Andrea Dupe as well. But they are trying to push their way up the field. Here, though, Peschel still on the rear bumper of Kucklane has lost out a little bit here, but certainly pushing strong. Driver who started on the front row of the grid has dropped back in his previous races, but has had good runs still, 2nd and 3rd yesterday. But right now, just struggling in this one. Again, you can put that down to tyres. Again, no one in this group has deployed new tyres. Just looking at that nose cone there of Roland Kucklane, there was a bit of a wobble on it. Didn't look like it's dropped, but certainly there was definitely a shake on it. Back here, though, race to the lead, and Lindblom has started to reel in even closer. Those little thousandths and hundredths he was taken out of Drummond have all accumulated now, and he has closed the gap up to Zach Drummond. So Zach Drummond, who is yet to take a first qualifying heat win of the weekend after 2 second places yesterday, is in a position now to get his first. But we're on lap 9 of 13 here. There is plenty of time left in this race, and Lindblom has closed in. Cook Lane, though, with the fastest lap of the race, 50.1. That is a quick time. Remember, we were in 49s in time qualifying. We were in the low 49s, of course, 49.058, new lap record set from Dmitry Matviev yesterday in time qualifying. We won't be near that today, of course, as these drivers are on pretty used tyres now. As we keep an eye on this battle here, still Cook Lane, Bottaro, Peschel. Cook Lane now up into third, pushing his way through. Roland Cook Lane looking strong here, checks over the shoulder, goes a little bit defensive there. Well, hand gesturing from Bottaro. He's not happy with the defensive line because he's saying, keep going, don't defend, you have just got past me, but keep going because now I've got Peschel right behind me who's closed in. Peschel could gain here if he sees an opportunity. The Monster K factory car who's pretty much another CRG going down the inside of the factory CRG and moving past Davide Bottaro. So CRG working well on a change for the lead. Lindblom down the inside, steps up now into the race lead here, and Drummond tried to fight back there, but loses time on the exit. Didn't have the optimal line, and now will lose out. Here's how it happened. Straight down the inside. That was a huge lunge there from Lindblom. That came from a mile away, and again, that was at turn 9. A turn that so many drivers have said it's difficult to overtake there. You have to be committed. And that replay there shows that was 100% commitment from Lindblom to take the lead of this one. I don't even think Drummond was ready for it. You could see checks over the shoulder, has to take avoiding action. And like you say, just scupples his exit out of the corner. Well, that bumps Lindblom up to 4th in the intermediate classification. Now with 132 points, joins himself up with Zach Drummond, both on 132, with Jimmy Elias. So 3 drivers on 132 points at this point of the weekend. But of course, Elias would lead those. He was the better of qualifying. Zach Drummond out-qualified Lindblom as well. So that's why they sit in that order in the intermediate classification, even though they are joint on points. Lap 12 at the moment. Lindblom leads the way from Zach Drummond. Cook Lane there in 3rd place from Peschel and Bottaro. Salim Hanna has decided, well, has started to close in, I should say. And you can see him there just in the background. Noah Montero sits in 7th place. This is good for Montero. He needs some good results here. A P11 yesterday and a P9 for the Kart Republic driver from Portugal. So not having the best of results, but a P7 here would certainly put him back in the game just that little bit more. But here, though, Roland Cook Lane looking strong here. Cook Lane needs this. 3rd place yesterday was his best result after a DNF in his 2nd one. Can he get a 2nd place here on the final lap of this race as he latches onto the rear bumper of Drummond, who now in this 2nd half is looking like he's struggling a little bit. Remember, tyres are a factor here. They push themselves all the way throughout these Maxxis tyres, do a great job of maintaining themselves over a long period of time. But again, if you've pushed just that little bit too hard, you can wear them out just that little bit faster. And has Drummond done that? Cook Lane right on the rear bumper, who had the DNF, slightly fresher tyres on board Roland Cook Lane's kart here. Despite the fact that he has not deployed a brand new set just yet. He's going to look to the inside into the final corner. A little bit of contact there. But where is Peschel? Peschel's going to get them. Lindblom's going to take his first win of the weekend. Drummond just holds on to 2nd place. But Yiddy Peschel finishes in 3rd place. That is exactly what Peschel needed just on the last phase there. Managing to get up into P3. Cook Lane finishes in P4. It's still a good result for Roland Cook Lane, who we'll see out later today, of course, with the rest of these drivers. Bottaro finishing in P5. That's his best result of the weekend as well. From Salim Hanna finishing in P6. He matches his, worst result that he had yesterday was P6. His best result, P4 yesterday for Salim Hanna. With Noah Montero finishing in P7. Pedro Hilbrand finishing in 8th place ahead of Tiziano Monza. And Hugo Marti rounds out the top 10. Jakub Kamenek finishing then in P11 ahead of David Kozma. Mateo Giaccari from Ivo Bastrada, and Javier Avramides rounds out the top 15 there on your screen. Biggest mover in the top 15. David Cosma, I've got to say, taking a really good race in that one. 7 places gained to finish in P12. 16th place downwards, seen Santino Panetta with a gain of 8 places. We'll have Timo Youngling just behind, who gained 11 places, finishing a P17 from Castellini in 18th place. Maria Neto finishing just ahead of Blake Nash, who rounds out the top 20. Fred Salex finishing in 21st place ahead of Kai Hunter in 22nd. I believe that's his best result of the weekend so far. Had some really tough races yesterday. It's his first time race weekend in the category, though, so still a lot to learn. Eichmann's finishing in 23rd. Won't be fully happy with that result, ahead of Brunner. Alabai finishing in 25th place ahead of Kavisto. Then it is Bergersen from Raschke, Scarborough and Deng who round out the 30 finishers. 3 retirements, Dube, Kavisto and Spets. Let's have a look at the start of that race. And again, good start for Drummond. Peschel with a good start as well. Just got into 2nd place, then lost it out through the chicane. Batara with that inside line was able to hold on and claim 2nd place away from Yuri Peschel at the start of the race. Drama would kick off in the background, though, and it would all start with Ian Eichmanns. Ian Eichmanns, who would go right to the outside there, would get caught out. But there you can see as well, a car going very slowly. Alexander Spets, that car just slowly coughing out of life there, and that's a big shame, and he would retire in the opening stages. The same as Andrea Dupe as well. He would retire later on in the race, unfortunately. The Prema Racing driver suffering mechanical problems as well in the 298. Lindblom, though, talk of the town on that one. What a performance from the young driver. Stepping up, of course, into the senior category for the 2nd time this season. He's abandoned his junior campaign, getting ready for 2025, of course, getting a real practice in with the senior category and certainly showing that he has got the pace on this one. Peschel gaining the positions back there, getting the move back down the inside of Bataro, who would drop down a little bit in the order, finishing P5 at the end of that one. That was the lead change. Lindblom, huge send down the inside on lap 10 on Drummond, and just with that overtake through turns 9 and 10, just positioned himself in a way where he lost out. This, the final lap, down the inside. Cook Lane trying to go for 2nd place, would lose out on 3rd. Peschel would get through. Drummond would just get 2nd place, but the win would go to Scott Lindblom, the Swedish driver, looking in fine form at the start of his racing today. Well, we'll see Group C and E out later on today, but we'll head back to the junior category that are coming out next. Groups A versus D. Some of the fastest drivers in time qualifying in this one, and, well, Dries van Langendonk, who starts this one on pole position, 2 qualifying heat wins out of 2. He's got the maximum points. He was outright pole sitter as well, a 50.5 he's set. He was 2/10 faster than anyone else. We caught up with him after his qualifying.
Qualifying practice Group 3 is done for the OK Junior category, and Dries van Langendonk fastest in session and fastest overall as well in the last session. Congratulations, that was a phenomenal time. How did it feel out there?
Really good 2nd lap. I didn't expect me to go pole with 2 laps, but I think we just about got the pressures right, and it was a really good lap. And I really needed this. Quali hasn't been going my way lately. So to put it on pole again is a nice feeling and gives you a bit of a confidence boost. And I think the speed's going to be there for the heats. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, this is going to be a challenging weekend. So many quick drivers out there. The pace is still close as well. But you ready for the challenge? You're looking forward to it as well?
Definitely looking forward to it. Times have been really, really close. The heats are going to be, there's going to be a lot of racing, shall I say, and it's just going to be hard racing out there. We just have to try and be consistent, get good heats, so we get a good position for the pre-final and final, and we'll see how it goes.
How important do you think the starts are going to be here? Because the track is very open for overtaking. There are so many overtaking opportunities out there. So how vital is it going to be to get those starts right?
To be honest, I think top 7 will have a chance to win this track because there's so many overtaking spots. It's not like Slovakia where qualifying was essential because there's so many overtaking spots. There's a lot of, you can come through from the top 10 and yeah, just to put it on pole is still just a confidence boost, I guess. Obviously, it's still the prime position you want to be in, and yeah, just the racing is going to be really hard, like I said, and we'll see how it goes.
Excellent. Well, congratulations. Well done. We'll see you out there in those qualifying heats.
Thank you.
Well, great to chat there to Dries van Langendonk, who starts this one on pole position. As the drivers make their way out onto the circuit, let's take you through the full starting lineup. It is Dries van Langendonk starting this one on pole position. 2 qualifying heat wins out of 2. Can he make it 3? He'll have Iskander Solfakari from Turkey going from row number 1 as well. 2nd and 3rd yesterday. Dean Hugendorn and Bosco Arias round out row number 2. They'll have Oliver Kinmark and Archie Lovett on row 3. Kenzo Craigie and Jean-Mathieu Rousseau round out row number 4. They'll have Casper Reipold and Sebastian Lettermarki rounding out the top 10 on row 5. Louis Cochet and Harrison Mackie go from row 6. Mackie needs good results today. He had really bad results yesterday. Can he redeem himself in the second half of the weekend? Kanishk Rao and Jensen Burnett round out row number 7. Endo Arata and Mika Runitz go from row number 8. Jarrett Clark and Drew Voltz round out row number 9. Makis Savalev and Georgi Zazov go from row 10. They'll have Alexander Uznim and Augustus Toniolo on row 11. Francois Cadel and Sonia B go from row 12. They'll have Amir Sabrov and Alex Brunner on row 13. Jakob Wung and Ludwig Muzzi go from row 14. They'll have Carlo Leon and Hampus Holmberg on row 15. Tobias Chenny and Christopher Nita go from row 16. Mero Peldis will round out the 33 kart field. All drivers out on circuit. There's a look at the intermediate classifications. Pokla leads that with 138 from the 132s. Baglin and Kostoya joint on points. Baglin out qualifying. Kostoya puts him second, though. Martinez with Kalesia and Leisen. But you have to remember the 100 points for Dries van Langendonk from yesterday brings that over to today. A win here would put him at 150, and he would still lead the intermediate classification. So the race is very much firmly in his part of the court. He just needs to deliver in this race to see whether or not he can maintain that intermediate classification lead. It's going to be a challenge, though, but he starts on pole and in a good spot here for this race. But he's got fellow Forza Racing teammate alongside in the form of Iskander Zulfikari. We are racing and green flag, and it is a lightning start for the inside row. Van Langendonk, Hugendorn and Kinmark all get up first, second and third as they go through. Where did Zulfikari end up? I think well into the field there, maybe about P5, maybe even P6 as they go through. It looks like Craigie got a good start as well. In fact, actually, I don't see Craigie in that top area. In fact, I'll tell a lie, he's third. So Craigie did get a good start. He got past Kinmark, so he has had a very good start, has Kenzo Craigie from the 7th spot of the grid. But still, Hugendorn there in second place. They've broken away. It's been a pretty clean start from the field in this first opening lap as they make their way into the tight, twisty section. We go on board with Jean-Mathieu Rousseau for the DPK Racing. You can see here he's right behind the 88 there of Makos Savalev, who, well, Savalev started well down in the order. So Jean-Mathieu Rousseau has had a dismal start. Yeah, he's dropped down to 15th in the opening stage of this race. That is, well, a drop of 7 places on that opening lap, so it's not been the start for the driver. And, you know, speaking to some people from the DPK team this weekend, they've said they've struggled a little bit with the setup, but I think they've finally got it nailed down the inside. Talk about nailing it. That was a huge send from Iskander Solfikari, who's trying to gain positions back up at this point of the race. Closing in there is Kanishk Rao, the Sodi card. You've got Louis Cochet and Archie Lovett just ahead as they all battle for position. Big send down the inside for Louis Cochet, which forces the 118 of Kanishk Rao off the circuit and tumbles down the order now, does the young Brit. And that is not the start of the race Rao would have wanted. He loses out on even more then on the exit of the final corner as well as he falls down the order. Back at the front, Van Langendonk leads the way, is opening up the gap to around 0.6 of a second. Hoogendoorn's still there, but he is under pressure from Craigie, who's closing in. Bosco Arias here, fastest lap of the race in the number 31, is going to utilize that down the inside of Oliver Kinmark and moves up into P4. Kinmark, who's still got a good start. He started this one in P5. He's back in P5 now, so he's not gained or lost any position, so it's still a good start to his race. He has got the close company, though, of Zulfikari right behind, who we have seen making moves, and is going to make another one here through turn 14. Says thank you very much, and moves up now into P5. So he's going to push his way forward, hopefully. Maybe he's hoping back up to the front running positions in this race. That is easier said than done as we go on to lap 4 of this one. Over the crest they go. Drivers getting a little bit of air there as well as they crest the hill. Of course, the speed now has increased over that part of the track. They no longer go through the chicane, which slowed them down over that crest. So they do get a little bit of air there. And it was a dramatic day as well for one of the CRGs, Marco Shilkunis, who had a big air moment there in the senior category yesterday, going all 4 wheels off the air after a little bit of a sandwiching from other drivers, unfortunately. Thankfully, was okay, but certainly had a rough ride in that race. Van Langendonk then on lap number 5 extends his lead to 1 second. Kenzo Craigie, still there in 3rd place, is 0.4 of a second behind Hoogendoorn. Hoogendoorn having some really strong performances here. Best result was a 3rd place yesterday. Worst result a 4th. So here a P2 would certainly be well received for Hoogendoorn. But Craigie, who is trying to pile on the pressure, is under pressure himself. The DPK kart of Bosco Arias is looking very strong here. His pace is quick. His positioning's good as well. He's looking like he might go for a move here into the final corner. He's certainly close enough for it, and he's going to go for it. Yes, indeed. Well, Craigie left the door open, but Arias has left it open on the exit. The two go wheel to wheel then, down in towards turn 1, and just down the inside. Craigie holds on to 3rd place, but across the line, it was Bosco Arias who had the lead. So now that opens up the gap even more. Hoogendoorn's been released. Now, here comes Zulfikari down the inside of Arias, and he moves up past. The Koski of Kinmark goes through as well. We're now 3 wide on the exit as Reipold and Lovett all close in as well. Look at this. This is a huge battle here between all of these drivers, and it's all for P5 and P4. So Zulfikari is in P4 now. Kinmark's in P5. Lovett is there in 6. Bosco Arias has gone down to P7 now, just as he was trying to fight for 3rd place. He's lost out on so many places here. He fights back, though, in this race. Still there in P7. Zulfikari all over the rear bumper now of Craigie. Craigie with a very different racing line there through the chicane, looking like he was carrying more speed into the corner, running just that little bit wide on the exit. Zulfikari just seeing what he can do in trying to close in. Check over the shoulder there. Confirmation that he can see Zulfikari. That's closed in on the exit now. Much better exit for Zulfikari. But Craigie with the racing line holds onto it through turn 9. Kind of backs him up through the apex of turn 10 as well, denying Zulfikari a chance to get back up to where he started on the front row of the grid. This will bring Kinmark back into play. This will bring Lovett and Arias back into play. There is Kinmark, who has closed in, and now Zulfikari needs to think about attacking, but maybe also defending here now. Oh, wow, down the inside through turn 3 into the chicane. Iskander Zulfikari, what a move. That was perfectly timed. We have not seen many moves there to the inside of the chicane at turn number 2 and 3, but he made it stick. And I don't think Craigie could do absolutely anything there to hold on to that one. He's still on the rear bumper. Kinmark's still there in P5. Lovett's closed in from P6 as well. Arias is looking quick. He's trying to go down the inside there. Door slammed closed by Lovett, denying the chance of the Spaniard to get through. Let's see that move again. Look at this, down the inside. Perfectly tight. He's off the racing line there. Amazing traction to get it stopped under braking. Another angle of it here. Absolutely superb. And I think good driving there from Craigie as well, not to get forced out wide on the exit of turn 3. Just give the position there, give the racing room. It's all kicked off here though. Now Kinmark's got up into 5th place, and it's a screw, and there's contact, and round goes the 144. Now this is Endo Arata, the Japanese driver, unfortunately out of the race, had the inside line going into turn 6 on the exit of turn 5, had the pace out of the corner with them all battling away. Reipold went right down the order as well. He's gone down to 12th place after the contact there. That's brought Mackie now up into play. Well, Aratu's managed to get going again, which is good to see. The Japanese driver not giving up for the Ward Racing team. But let's have a look at that again. Now, you've got Lovett down the inside now. Sweeping to the inside there goes the number 34 and of Reipold. And just, yeah, was unsighted there was Endo Arata, who, again, unfortunately gets squeezed on that inside curb, and clear frustration there from the young Japanese driver. Not out of the race, but out of contention in this one. Back on board with Jean-Mathieu Rousseau, who has closed back up to this battle here as well. He's got Archie Lovett right in front of him here. This is the battle for P7 on your screen. Now, Rousseau has closed back up to his original starting spot of 8th place. He dropped down, remember, all the way to P17, so he's closed back up here. So this is a great recovery drive as we go on to the final lap of this race. It is still Van Langendonk who leads the way. That gap is 2.3 seconds. He's looking so strong this weekend for the Forza Racing team, is Van Langendonk, as he tries to help out his championship fight here. But the Koski motorsport car of Oliver Kinmark is under immense pressure here, down the inside.
I know you probably are, David. Just have a look at the chicane. Looks to be a P4 going across the concrete there.
Post 1, reports going in for 8-8 and 145. Both of them had no reason to cut.
Right, well, confirmation there. Some drivers cutting the chicane. Well, out of the final corner, Dries Van Langendonk will take the race win. Dean Hugendorn taking 2nd. Iskander Solfakari takes 3rd place, matching the result he had yesterday. Hugendorn's best result of a P2, and Van Langendonk now leads the intermediate classification once again. 150 intermediate classification points. Goes into the second half of the day on top. Craigie finishes in P4. That's his best result of the weekend so far, ahead of Bosco Arias, finishing in P5. That's Arias' best result of the weekend as well, after yesterday 11th and an 8th place. Archie Lovett finishing in P6, then ahead of Jean-Mathieu Rousseau finishing in 7th place. Managed to get past Oliver Kinmark at the end of that race. Mackie finishing in P9. That's a good result for Harrison Mackie. Will have needed that one after not great results yesterday. Jarrett Clark finishing just inside the top 10. Jensen Burnett finishing in 11th place ahead of Louis Cachet. Reipold finishing in 13th place, unfortunately, after that contact with Arata. Unfortunately, tumbles him down the order. Drew Roltz finishes in 14th place ahead of Makir Savalev. Jarrett Clark with a gain of 7 places to finish just inside the top 10. 16th place is Alexander Uznin with a gain of 5. Then it's Sebastian Lettamaki from Kanishk Rao. Tobias Chenny, 12 places gained, biggest mover on circuit, finishing in P19. Georgi Zazov rounds out the top 20 from Sabarov, Brunner, Francois Cadal, Peldis, Toniolo, Runitz from Lyon, Vung from Yibi Sun, from Muzi, Holmberg, Nita, and Arata, unfortunately, finishing in 33rd. All drivers finishing the race as well, which is good to see. So, of course, some drivers out there still under the watchful eye of race control. You saw there on that last lap the report coming in for Sun Yabi and for the 88 of Makir Savalev. for cutting the chicane, and apparently reported that they didn't need to. Look then at the highlights from this one. Brilliant start for the field as they went on. But all the drivers in qualifying A and D just had to deal with the likes of Van Langendonk, who was breaking away at the start of that race. Dean Hugendorn, though, really good result for him. Best result for him as well. Second place after a third and fourth place yesterday. Iskander Sulfakari had a really challenging one in that as well. Dropped down in the order, recovered back to third place. But the driver from Turkey was second place yesterday, but certainly a very interesting one. Kinmark as well, the driver from Sweden, certainly had an interesting one. Oliver Kinmark not finishing in the results he will have wanted, dropping down to P8 in that one again. A driver, that's his worst result of the weekend. Best result was a P5 for him all the way throughout. Jean-Mathieu Rousseau, though, who we were on board with for parts of that race, certainly had some good races, recovered back to P7 after dropping all the way down to P17, a gain of 1 place during that race. But I'm sure for Dries Van Langendonk, he can be happy with that maximum intermediate classification points. He has those 150 classification points. He's leading the way. He has got no drama at the moment. He now beats Joel Pokolo, who had a win earlier on with 138. Baglin with his 132, with Costoya 132 as well. Martinez with his 129. Sulfakari with his result jumps up to now 6th in the intermediate classification. Hugendorn jumps up to 7th in the intermediate classification with 123. No one at the moment is able to beat Dries Van Langendonk, who at this moment is really pushing strong in these races today. Well, seniors will be coming up in a few moments' time. Groups A versus D will be the next one out on the circuit. And, well, this is going to be the interesting one coming up later today. But we'll catch up to that later on as we keep an eye on these highlights. This beautiful moment down the inside for the number 44, Archie Lovett, retakes the position and pushes himself forward. Craigie as well, having to fight all the way throughout this one. But still a good result for Craigie. P4, a gain of 3 places, puts himself in a really strong spot here. But again, for Craigie, he's been starting these ones a little bit further down in the order, pushes himself forward. That was the terrible moment there, unfortunately, for Endo Arata. Down the inside, completely unsighted by Casper Reipold, and was just unable to keep it on the track. Race winner, though, Dries Van Langendonk, maximizes his points, 150 intermediate classification points. He goes into the second half of the day on top. Seniors coming up next then for the OK category, back to groups A versus D. This has been the one that we've been looking forward to. Dmitry Matviev, 2 qualifying heat wins out of 2 and a new lap record in time qualifying yesterday. Gabriel Gomez, 4th fastest in time qualifying, but 2 qualifying heat wins out of 2 as well. Also, brilliant results. These two have not raced against each other so far this weekend. They are about to now. We just don't know who is going to take the win. There on your screen, though, Dmitry Matviev, pole position in time qualifying, the fastest driver we had seen, and a brand new lap record as well, a 49.058. We caught up with him after time qualifying.
Qualifying practice, Group 1 for the senior category here for round 4, the Champions of the Future. Dmitry Matviev, fastest in the group. Dmitry, fantastic time for yourself, nearly into the 48 seconds. How was the track feeling for you?
I felt it from the first lap that there is a lot of grip if compared with the warm-up, because, to be honest, we were quite struggling in the morning with the cold temperature. But made the right choice with the chassis and made a great job with the team.
Yeah.
So.
This is a technical and demanding circuit. There's not a lot of rest time out there. And, you know, across this weekend, temperatures are looking good. Do you reckon this is going to be a bit of a fight, a challenge?
I mean, always from, I would say, if you're starting from first, you can manage a little bit better the race. But let's see how it goes, because the heats are long. Also, the track, I think, is the tire quite a lot, so we got to manage that as well.
Yeah. It's going to be a long weekend, but you've started it off well. Congratulations. We'll see you out there in the qualifying heats.
Exactly. Thank you very much.
Well, great to hear that from Dmitry Matveyev, who, like we say, brilliant start to his weekend. 2 qualifying heat wins out of 2, and that new lap record. Certainly had the great pace. And, you know, speaking of that lap record as well, it was 0.2 faster than any other driver. And in all of the qualifying, the other qualifying sessions as well that we had seen, everyone else was about 0.2 slower. No one was able to match that pace, but everyone was matching their own pace there. So clearly, Matveyev, in a league of his own out there, had everything perfect. It may have just been the perfect lap for him out on session. Gabriel Gomez, though, starting this one on the front row of the grid, the Italian licensed Brazilian. 2 qualifying heat wins out of 2 as well. Looking for a strong result this weekend. Is yet to win a final so far this season. The final wins have gone to McLaughlin, Ramekers and Turney over the course of the season so far. But we'll see what happens tomorrow, of course, for that final. Engines fire up. Let's take you through the starting lineup for qualifying heat A versus D. Dmitry Matveyev and Gabriel Gomez go from row number 1. Tibor Ramekers and Vivek Kanthan round out row number 2. David Walter and Kai Rillarts go from row 3. Grayson Skulinov and Joseph Smith go from row 4. Lewis Werrell and Marcus Shilkunis round out the top 10. They go from row 5. They'll have Freddie Lloyd and Victor Gustafsson on row 6. Murula Drocker and Jakub Mikalev on row 7. Aaron Garcia and Fabian Sturluson go from row 8. They'll have Tame Soleil and Elliot Kaczynski going from row 9. Marcus Juncher and Mark Dubnitsky round out the top 20 on row 10. Dominic Simic and Alina Lerolsine go from row 11. This is Alina's first time racing in the OK category as well. Experience around the circuit here at Kristianstad, but not in the category. Augustine Sepulveda and Sofia Sanfari go from row 12. They'll have Miguel Costa and Guillaume Bouzard on row 13. Mark Borovko and Noah Wolf, who has had a really tough weekend here so far. Not the best qualifying. Starting this one down in P28 and retirement yesterday as well. They'll have Louis Gear starting alongside. Vilma Svan running out the top 30. They'll have Nicole Hanalate and Sebastian Korpeng on row 16. Levi Ari and Sebastian Hayden round out the final row on row 17. 34 drivers in this one, and everyone is out on the circuit. Reminder of the intermediate classifications. McLaughlin with 150. He's taken 3 out of 3. Remember that Matveyev and Gomez have had 2 out of 2. They are racing right now against each other. We do not know who's going to take the win, if either of them, because Tibor Ramekers is there on the second row of the grid, right behind Matveyev. He's yet to take a qualifying heat win this weekend, but he, at the moment, is the championship leader by some way as well, ahead of Joe Turney, Zach Drummond and Gabriel Gomez. So this is going to be an interesting one here. What we're going to see, Tibor Ramekers winner at round 2 in Val d'Argenton. Didn't take the win at Valencia, nor in Slovakia, but has had consistent points over the season, which means he leads the championship. Can he maintain that consistency in this race here as well? Into the tram lines, lights go green. We are racing down in towards turn number 1, and it's a good start for Gomez. It's a good start for Matveyev as well. Gomez, though, slots into 3rd, and Ramekers slams his way into 2nd place as he tries to break away from the rest of the field. You can see Kanthan's holding on to 4th place there as he tries to push his way through. David Walter holding on to P5. You can see him on the Tony Cup with the white helmet, pushing himself through the Sodi Cup there as well. Kai Rillarts with a good start, is battling away with the DPK there of Grayson Skulinov. Skulinov needing a good result here. A DNF in his first race yesterday and a P10 in his second. Same can be said for Joseph Smith. 16th in his first race and a DNF yesterday as well. So both of them having a tough one on this one. Gomez here is pushing forward. Another one of the CRGs just in the background there. Victor Gustafsson struggling. He's dropped down a little bit there in P6. He's not lost any positions, but he's lost a lot of ground still to the drivers up ahead. There's a huge gap between himself and the drivers ahead. And now it looks like Freddie Lloyd has just got past and moved up into P7. So changes happening there at the back of the field. Action here, though. Matveyev is not looking too comfortable right now. Ramakas is right on that rear bumper. Remember, Ramakas has not won a qualifying heat yet this weekend. He's in a position right now to maybe do some damage here. He's pushing himself strong in this early stage of the race, but it's a long way to go here. This is only the opening couple of laps. Gomez tucks in as much as he can. There's dust up in the background there. Look like one of the victory lanes going off the track, possibly Jakub Mikulev there, who tries to regain control. Eyes on these top three, though, and again under braking. Look at Ramakas, how much he can close in. There you can see Matviev would lead the intermediate classifications because he was outright pole position here. Here comes Gomez, though, down the inside of Ramakas. So despite Ramakas' best efforts of trying to close in on Matviev in the opening stages, Gomez now feels like he's got the advantage here. Now the gap's opened up to 0.3 of a second. Can Gomez close that gap? Well, judging by the sector times on that last lap, the answer could be yes. Purple sector 1 and 2. He got the fastest lap on the last lap of the race. Is he going to better it? Yes, he is. 50.8 was a 10th faster than Matviev on that last lap. Matviev is not the quickest driver out there. Despite his lightning time in time qualifying, he is not the fastest in outright race pace here. And the gap is less than 0.3 of a second. We'll keep an eye on that one. Canthan still there in P4. You can see the top 4 breakaway. David Walter in P5 is kind of in a bit of a no man's land a little bit here, but he's dealing with the likes of Kai Rilarts, who's just got past. Rilarts now up into P5, just off camera. So as we keep an eye on this one here, Ramakas is matching the pace and racing line of Gomez. You could see him earlier on. He was lunging under braking a little bit, was Ramakas, really trying to close in, but was suffering on the exit. That's what brought in Gomez. Matviev has responded to Gomez's fastest lap of the race as well. The gap's back up to half a second. 50.5 versus a 50.7 on that last lap. Quite considerably faster than that. So that puts the... Well, that puts it very much back into Ramakas' side of things, because he's thinking that, right, you're not closing up onto Matviev. I might see if I can go for second place again here. If I spot a gap, I'll go for it, I think, says Ramakas. Right now, just settling for P3 at this point of the race. Well, we maintain a visual on this lead battle. Let's remind ourselves of any big movers in the back of the field. Miguel Costa is one of those drivers. Up to P13, 12 places gained at the moment. And looking very strong there. He's closing in on the likes of Lewis Werrell, who's having a tricky one on this one. Noah Wolf as well, 7 places gained, is up to P21. Vilmos Svan, 8 places gained, is up into P22. Gomez now responds to that fastest lap, 50.4. The gap back down to 0.3 of a second. So, are we going to see a battle between these two? It's chopping and changing just that little bit between the two of them. Gomez again goes purple in sector 2. So again, he's got the pace here. Both of them have had strong performances. Both of them have had races where they've not need to really overly defend or attack here. Of course, both these drivers have had 2 qualifying heat wins apiece. This is the first time one of them is going to lose a qualifying heat. Still, the question mark remains, which one? This time around, lap time's pretty similar, but another new fastest lap of the race for Dmitry Matviev. I can imagine the conversation is being had with himself and the mechanics on the sideline saying, you have to keep going, you have to keep pushing, and pushing no further is one of the Paralins. That is the 280, unfortunately, off the circuit, and that is a dismal result for Vivek Canthan. Vivek Canthan out of this race, and it looks to be a mechanical failure. Canthan, who started this race on the 2nd row of the grid, a P4 and a P5 yesterday, now will have a DNF to his name, and that will really hamper his position in the intermediate classification. Matviev still leads. Gomez still second, and the gap's now opened up to its biggest gap so far. nearly 0.6 of a second, and another new fastest lap of the race, a 50.1. We're nearly going into the 49s. And again, I don't believe anyone's deployed fresh tyres in this one. Well, one driver has, and right at the back of the field, Louis Aguirre has deployed a fresh set of tyres on the left-hand side of his kart. And has that helped him out in this race? The answer to that, I believe, is yes. I think he has moved up in the order just a little bit, but only one place to 28th. So the fresh rubber not fully assisting him there. Action here, though. Makalev, nice close-up shot there through the chicane, currently 13th place. This battle here, though, on your screen, Victor Gustafsson and Marilla de Rocca battling away. De Rocca's going to look down the inside through turn 7. Moves up, gains a position there. This puts the ball into the court of Lewis Werrell. Werrell now trying to gain positions here. Werrell, who's currently in P9, has not gained or lost anything right now. Werrell is a driver who is used to battling at the front here so far this weekend. It's not been his race. Big direction change there. Down the inside, but late under braking. Gustafsson back down the inside, denies the chance to move up into P10. It's the ball back into Werrell's side of the court here as he tries to go for another move here. We're into the 49s. Matviev on his used tyres is 49.9. The gap is over a second now. This is monstrous pace from Dmitry Matviev. Gomez might have to worry here a little bit about Ramakas here because he's starting to close in a little bit, but we keep an eye on this battle here. Gustafsson and Werrell. Werrell has not got past yet. Now Skulinov is starting to close in as well. He's there in P10. This is your race leader, though. Dmitry Matviev. The gap over a second. Does not match his fastest lap earlier on. About 0.2 slower on that last lap was Matviev, but was a 10th faster than Gomez. So this pace all the way throughout this is certainly, I'm sure, going to be raising the eyebrows to Finn McLaughlin and, of course, to Gomez and to the rest of the drivers as well out there, because the pace that Matviev has got here at Kristianstad in Sweden, second to none at the moment from the rest of the field. Certainly going to have to make the drivers think, what are they going to do later on in the day? Of course, all these drivers will have more heats to go. This is only their third qualifying heat of the weekend that they are taking part in right now. Plenty more races to go, and of course, before we head to the all-important super heats and finals tomorrow. Saturday, of course, for the finals day. Make sure you stay tuned for those. Shouldn't get confused, we are one day ahead in the Champions of the Future. Finals on Saturday, not Sunday. So make sure you don't miss out on that one on all of your platforms, YouTube, Facebook, and of course motorsport.tv as well. As we're on lap 12, but Matviev still leads the way then ahead of this battle. Gomez and Ramakas, second and third. Volta still in P4. Ahead of Kai Rillarts. Freddie Lloyd up into P6. Ahead of De Rocca. Gustafsson from Werrell. Skulinov in the top 10. Now, Costa is having a good race here. Miguel Costa, who's just in 11th place, 14 places gained. Can he get into the top 10 of this race as we go on to the final lap now? Over the crest, and Dmitry Matviev, his pace in this one has been superb. His pace all weekend has been superb, and he has maximum points to his name. He joins McLaughlin at the top with 150 intermediate classification points. I suspect that McLaughlin and Matviev will battle later on today to determine who's going to be on pole position. But at the moment, it is Matviev on top after the outright pole yesterday in time qualifying. Matviev crosses the line, maximizes his potential here in Kristianstad. Gomez finishing in second place ahead of Timo Ramakas. David Walter finishing in P4 ahead of Kai Rillarts and Freddie Lloyd. Marilla de Rocca finishing in P7 ahead of Victor Gustafsson. Lewis Werrell in P9. Gerasim Skulinov finishes in P10. Miguel Costa just misses out on a top 10 finish, but gains 14 places in that race. Jakub Mikulev finishing in 12th place ahead of Joseph Smith. Fabian Sturluson finishing in 14th place ahead of Elliot Kaczynski, who rounds out the top 15 at the end of that race. Well, drivers make their way back into Parc Fermé. Now, of course, everything will be checked. All of the results that we talk about here are, of course, provisional. Nothing is signed off until it is cleared by the scrutineers and as well as the stewards. Well, there's a look then at the full classifications. There's a look at your top 15. 16th place downwards sees Marcus Shilkunis finishing there. Shilkunis, like I said yesterday, having that drama. Great to see him back out on track today. Mark Dubnitsky finishing in 7th place ahead of Tame Soleil. Noah Wolf gaining 9 places, finishes in P19 ahead of Guillaume Bouzard, finishing in 20th place of a gain of 6 places. Bouzard will like that after heavy damage he received yesterday. Sepulveda finishing in 21st place ahead of Lee Rolfsen in 22nd place. Vilma Svan finishing in 23rd ahead of Sebastian Hayden. Gain of 10 places in that one, finishing in P24 from the back of the grid. Mark Brovko finishing in 25th from Louis Aguirre in 26th place. Only a gain of 3 places with those new tyres from Zanfari, Juncha, Adin, Simic, Landa Latte, Korpeng, and the 2 retirements, Garcia and Canthan. Here's a look at the highlights from this one. Gomez tried to hold on to 2nd place there. You can see he immediately tries to go for the move there. Got the jump on Ramakas. Ramakas with the inside line, though, into the chicane. Just holds on to it. Canthan there in 4th place. Was having a really good race. Later on, though, he would suffer from mechanical failure as down the inside there would go Kai Rillarts. And Gomez would go for 2nd place. This is where it started to get a little bit interesting in terms of lap times. It was kind of the best of the best at that point. There was the dramatic moment for Vivek Canthan, unfortunately, out of the race in the early stages, and mechanical failures plaguing the American driver. Drama further back, though, there with the DPK just getting squeezed out of the way. Gerasim Skulinov dropping down to 10th place at that point of the race weekend, but Marilla de Rocca as well in the other DPK just ahead there certainly made it interesting. Down the inside would go Lewis Werrell on Victor Gustafsson on lap 10. Gustafsson, though, wise to the move, was able to get the switch back on the exit, pushed himself forward. Dmitry Latviev, though, takes his 3rd win out of 3, and he puts himself in a prime position for later on today. He will have to race Finn McLaughlin, though, later on today, so that's certainly going to be an interesting one. More races coming up. We've only got 2 more races to go before we head into the lunch break and we end the first half of the day. But qualifying heat B versus E is coming up now for OK Junior. And it's back to Ian Kraling starting this one on pole position. We didn't hear from him earlier. We did see the highlights from earlier. But pole position in group, 2nd fastest driver overall in time qualifying. It certainly was a really strong performance from him. So for his qualifying heats as well, he has some really good results so far this weekend. But again, it's been losing out and dropping back a little bit from the front row of the grid. We caught up with him, though, after time qualifying when he was 2nd.
Qualifying Group 1 for the OK Junior category here at the Åsum Ring for round 4 of the Champions of the Future is complete. And Ian Kraling from Germany, pole position in group. A great feeling here. It's been 2 years since the championship's been here. And yeah, a pole position in the first group. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm really happy. The weekend overall is quite good right now. We hope for the heats that we bring it same, like the qualifying. And the chassis, thanks for Kaia and Yama for the good engines and chassis. And nothing to say.
Yeah. Well, superb. How is the track feeling out there? Personally, for me, it's my first time here experiencing the circuit. How is it for you? Are you enjoying it?
Yeah, it's really fast track, really smooth and quite good with the small corners and fast. So it's nice, and the grip of the track is really good. So you can carry a lot of speed through the corners, and that's.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. This is the perfect start to what's hopefully going to be an excellent weekend for you. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, great to chat there to Ian Kraling, who finished 5th earlier on in his third qualifying heat. Again, we'll have Zhang Jose starting alongside, finished P6 earlier on as well. Best result still that 3rd place that he got on the first day of racing after a superb qualifying. So the driver for the Ricky Flynn motorsport outfit there, seeing what he can do. Only a few moments away from going racing here. And remember, the drivers behind there on that second row also very good results. Joel Pokela took the win earlier on. So again, he is a driver that you do need to keep a close eye on in this race. Certainly a very strong performance from himself, but we'll find out what happens. The same as Filippo Sala, 2nd place is his best result that he has had over the course of this weekend. He is looking to see if he can match that over the course of today and the races that we have coming up later on. Whistle blows, engines fire up. Let's take you through the full starting lineup for OK Junior, qualifying Heat B versus E. It's Ian Kraling and Zhang Jose starting on row number 1. Joel Pokela and Filippo Sala go from row 2, with Nicolas Schaufler and Jacopo Martinez on row 3. Scott Marsh and Kenneth Fairhand round out row number 4. They'll have Devon Waltz and Roland Nagy on row 5. Nikita Nikishov and Manuel Maguez go from row 6. Michael McGow and Simas Bashuska round out row 7. Then have Ludovico Mazzola and Herbertus Palm on row 8. Jack Troja and Melvin Kalustian go from row 9. They'll have Zhao Zijun and Clara Kowalczyk on row 10. Hopefully a better start for Kowalczyk this time around after that retirement earlier on. Andrea Mani and Florentine Hattemer go from row 11. They'll have Alois Gilliday and Asher Osteen on row 12. Mariana Lopez and Marco Gast on row 13. They'll have Sana Z and Benjamin Manak on row 14. Oscar Gallen and Maximus Hunt on row 15 gives us our top 30. Gregor Callis and Devin Grabko go from row 16, with Henry Domain rounding out the field in 33rd place. The Energy Course team this weekend have had a tricky one. Some of their drivers have been struggling this weekend. Maybe the setup not fully there. Alois Gilliday, of course, having dramas earlier on, and Domain being at the back of the grid as well for this one. They've certainly got their work cut out for them this weekend, but I'm sure they will stay focused and try and push their way through from the back of the grid. It's a sort of carbon copy from the rest of the field. Again, chopping and changing in this group. You've got 3 different qualifying heat winners in this one, in the form of Joel Pokela, who won the last race earlier on, Schaufler, who won his 2nd race yesterday, Jacopo Martinez, who won his 1st race yesterday as well. Puts this group of drivers in really a tough situation. It's you can't put your finger on who could take the win in this one, because, well, the front row, Kraling and Zhang Jose, have struggled in these races. Here we go then, green flag and racing. Good start for Kraling, who breaks away. Schaufler's had a lightning start there into 2nd place again from the 3rd row of the grid. 2 drivers who have not got away at the start of this one. One of them is the 21 on the track. That's Clara Kowalczyk again out of this race. That is a huge shame. There's another driver as well there, Herbertus Palm, who's not had a good start as well. More drivers there, Mariana Lopez, Marco Garson, I think Benjamin Manak was another driver. Benjamin Manak again having a terrible start, and it's all going wrong here. There you can see the fusion card of Marco Gast trying to get restarted, fails to get restarted out of this race. And I think the same could be said for the Paralin. Yeah, it is. Mariana Lopez also out. I'm sure that'll be an unwanted conversation those 2 drivers may be having at that point of the track. Back here, though, with the race lead. Kraling still leads it. Gap of 0.3 of a second at the end of the 1st lap. Schaufler there in 2nd. Has the company of Joel Pokela, who won the race earlier on. And I think is maintaining that pace here. Has got a good, strong performance here. There has been a deployment of new tyres in this one. A handful of new tyres. But they're all at the back of the grid. Schaufler goes defensive. Now Scott Marsh goes wheel to wheel with his teammate. Pokela slams the door on Marsh. Now, these two teammates need to be careful here. They do need to work together a little bit because Schaufler's broken away now. That little bumper bashing certainly wouldn't put them in a good spot, as now they've got the likes of Zhang Jose closing back in just behind them. Devin Waltz is there as well. Filippo Sala, Jacopo Martinezzo's dropped down to 8th place. Is trying to recover back now as well. What can he do? He's right at the back of that group now. Krayling's looking comfortable though. 4/10 clear. There is Sala. Jacopo Martinezzo now gaining the positions. Got past Devin Waltz. But now trying to push through as well. The American still having good results. Back down the inside goes Devin Waltz. Martinezzo on the outside. Has the inside line though. Does the American. Pushes his way through. And as soon as Martinezzo gains 2 places, he loses out on them again. This brings Kira Fairhand into play. Fairhand right there in the background, pushing his way through. Mazzola, sorry, I should say, is right there as well in P11. Manuel Maguez as well in P12, pushing forward. Eyes on this lead battle, though, and Krayling not under pressure at the moment. Pushing himself along as they go into the braking zone of turn 4. You can see the rubber that goes down on the circuit there. The track undulating, positive camber through turns 4 and 5. Just a little bit there to help out the drivers. A little bit of negative camber as well on the circuit. It certainly is a challenge for them. Press up here. Here's Schaufler, though. Gain of 3 places in this race. Started at P5, currently P2. He's been nailing these starts as he pushes his way through. We'll keep an update, we'll keep you updated, I should say, on the drivers in the background that have deployed the fresh tyres. Herbertus Palm was one of them, but I think has had a pretty terrible start, unfortunately, with some contact. Zhao Zijun was another one. Zhao Zijun gaining of 5 places, is up into P5. There is a look at the tyres, deploying them on the left-hand side. Everyone going for the left-hand side there. Brand new graphics, hard work from the production team there behind the scenes. Asher Osteen, Sonazi as well, with a brand new set on the left-hand side, as well as Callis down there in 23rd place. Also, brand new set of tyres on the left-hand side. And you can see that Zhao, up to P14, has gained some really good spots there in the early stages of this race. No one else, though, deploying the fresh set of tyres just yet. But Schaufler is closing in. The Austrian certainly looking strong here in the DPK racing kart. Again, DPK up and down weekend. The setup has been there. Certainly seems to have come back stronger, though, in the second half of the day. Overnight, the team, I think, have worked hard to try and get this setup there. Remember, Schaufler 17th earlier on after a penalty in his first race. That certainly put him on the back foot a little bit so far this weekend, but did get that race win in the second race of the day yesterday. And was a good start to the day this morning as well, 2nd place. So again, looking to maybe match that, hopefully better it. Match his win from yesterday. Arlen Krayling certainly going to make that a challenge, though. This is the best we've seen from Arlen Krayling so far. His best result has been a P4. At the moment, he still leads this one from pole position. Again, another driver who's yet to deploy any fresh tyres. So again, he's in the same sort of situation as these drivers behind as they push their way through. Back over the start-finish line. We go on to lap 7 of 11 right now, and still no change between these top 2. Marsh is starting to close in as well. Keeping an eye on Scott Marsh. He's lost off the back of Poccola. Poccola's closed in on these top 2. Again, Poccola, a race winner earlier on, is going to want to fight back here as Alain Gillidet is under investigation. You can see that in the top right-hand corner of your screen. With these positionings here, a look at the intermediate classifications. Poccola would take the lead again. But remember, you have to remember, Van Langendonk with 150. He's got the maximum points here. This is the 4th race for groups B and E. So they will have more points from the rest of them. That's why you see Poccola, Martinezzo, Krayling, Schaufler, Marsh all up there on that list. But still, no change. We wait for the action to happen here as the gaps do close up a little bit there. I think a little mistake from Krayling through the chicane has closed in Schaufler just that little bit more. So Schaufler, despite the fact on that last lap, Krayling set the fastest lap of the race. I think he was so fast into turn 1, he may have just carried a little bit too much speed into it, because you could see through the chicane how much that Schaufler had closed in there. Again, not close enough for the attack. Waiting for the right opportunity to go for it here. There are plenty of overtaking opportunities. We were talking about it at the start of the day. You can do it in towards turn 4, into turn 6, 7. You can risky do it into turn 9, but we've seen the overtakes there as well as into turn 14. So there are plenty of places to get the overtakes done. Sana Z, who's up into 19th place, just received a warning flag. Won't be too happy with that one. Has the battle for the lead here. Very, very close. Eyes cannot be taken away from this battle here. Kraling, who is yet to get a top 3 finish in a qualifying heat, goes for the lead though, and a change. Schaufler dives to the inside, loses it on the exit, and Kraling holds on to it. That bunches the pack up now. Pokala has a chance to close in, goes wheel to wheel with Schaufler. Through turn 10 they go, and through goes Pokala, and through goes Marsh. Schaufler down to 4th place, and that releases Kraling. Kraling, who we thought was going to be on the back foot there, with Schaufler going through, but instantly fought back and holds on to the race lead on lap 10 of 11 here. But Pokala is a driver who can make life difficult for Ian Kraling. He has closed into this one, started it on the 2nd row of the grid in P3. This is how it happened. Pokala down the inside, how close you want to be. Fair play to Schaufler. He gave the racing room. Some may say he gave a little too much racing room, but he just wanted to make sure that there was no contact there between the two of them. Eyes on this here, though. Look how much they've closed in now. Well, Pokala needs to go for it. Oh dear, and it's all gone wrong here. Further down the field, the 110 of Florentine Hattemer is off the track. Now, Henry Domain is tumbled down the order there as well with that one. So did Sana Z. As here we go onto the final lap, wheel to wheel, down it towards turn 1. Pokala down the inside. Marsh goes through as well. So does Schaufler. Schaufler up into 3rd place as down goes Ian Kraling. Kraling on the back foot here into P4. And now Zhang Jose's closed back in. Pokala, who's jumped down to 5th place now. Marsh leads the way. It's now Kraling back into 2nd place. So what happened to Pokala there? It's all kicking off. They're 3 wide. Martinese's come back into play now. Martinese is up into P5. As they file their way through, it's Marsh leading from Kraling. Schaufler. What on earth happened to Pokala then? He went for the lead. We just missed what happened, but it's going to be Marsh. His first win of the weekend, and it goes to Scott Marsh. He becomes another different qualifying heat winner in the OK Junior category, which means that, well, Driessan Langendonk at the moment with his 3 wins is still the only driver to get the maximum points. No one else has been able to get win after win after win. Scott Marsh becomes another different qualifying heat winner in the junior category. Kraling finishes in 2nd place. Disaster for Andrea Mani on that last lap out of the race at the final corner there as he tries to pull his cart up onto the banking just as the carts come round. Well, disaster for Andrea Manning on the final lap, but Kraling finishing in 2nd place ahead of Schaufler. That is Krailing's best result of the weekend, P2. He'll be delighted with that one ahead of Nicolas Schaufler. Filippo Sala ahead of Jacopo Martinese. Devon Waltz finishing in P6 ahead of Zhang Jose. Joel Pokala, unfortunately, dropping down to P8 at the end of that one. Not the results he will have wanted after that win earlier on. Manuel Maguez finishing in 9th place ahead of Kieran Fairhan. Roland Nagy, much better result, P11 after retirement earlier on. De Troja and Osteen in 12th and 13th. Osteen gain of 11 places ahead of Michael McGow in 14th place. Nikita Nikishov and Ludovico Mazzola finishing in 16th place. Alain Girardet, gain of 6 places, finishes in 17th. Callis finishing in 18th after a gain of 13 with the new tyres applied. Sanazi with a gain of 8 in 19th with Grabco. Also, 12 places gained, finishes in P20. Bashuska finishes in 21st ahead of Maniac. Then it's Kalustian, Domain, Gallin, Zhao, and Und, who round out the 27 finishers. Manny, Hattemer, Palm, Kowalczyk, Lopez and Gast, the retirements of that race. And for Kowalczyk, Lopez and Gast, it was all on the opening lap. Kowalczyk, unfortunately, into turn 1, again, is plagued with issues. 3 drivers going off, but 2 drivers managing to get restarted again. Kowalczyk, unfortunately, not able to do so. Again, another angle at the start of that one. Great start from the inside row, but keep an eye on Schaufler, who was able to get up into 2nd place in the early stages. Down the inside into the chicane. Says thank you very much to Joel Pokela, who stayed there in 3rd place. Certainly fought back in the latter stages, but certainly was an interesting one when we went into the hairpin here, because unfortunately for Marco Gast and Mariano Lopez, both of them out in the early stages of the race. And yeah, I can imagine an uncomfortable conversation may have been had between those 2 drivers who were both involved in that incident. Pokela, though, would later get past Schaufler, who would move up back into 2nd place, trying to close in to Ian Kraling. Kraling at that point had no drama. Schaufler, though, fought back. That brought in the teammate of Pokela, Scott Marsh, who would later win the race in a fabulous style. But it was all down to whether or not those 2 teammates could work together. Later on, though, big moves here from Devon Waltz down the inside of Jacopo Martinez, who would close in to get a P5 finish. That certainly didn't come to fruition at the start of the race, though. He would drop down a little bit. The Koski kart coming through there of Michael McGow. Michael dropping down, though, to P14, though, at the end of that race. Big drama there for Pachuska. Unfortunately, he dropped right down in the order, unfortunately, finishing in P21 after starting much higher up. This is where it started to get interesting, though. Schaufler putting the pressure on Kraling, but here, this is where Pokela got the move back down the inside in towards 2nd place. Marsh got through, Schaufler down to 4th. Schaufler would recover back to 3rd. That was the unfortunate moment for Florentine Hattemer, clearly a little bit injured there. So this was Pokela going down the inside for 1st place. Marsh goes through as well. Now, did Marsh get the inside line through the chicane? No, it must have been into the hairpin here where I'd missed it, because there you can see already we go in towards turn 7. We've missed a couple of corners there, so clearly something had happened to Joel Pokela, who tumbled down the order there, which gave the lead to Marsh. It brought everyone back into play. Jean Jose, Devon Waltz, Jacopo Martinez, Filippo Sala got back up into 4th place as well. He recovered back there as well. Everyone was there. Pokela dropped down to 8th place. Manuel Maguez as well in the CRG. But Scott Marsh, who wasn't on the cards there to win, that's no offence to him at all, but takes his first win of the weekend. After a 3rd place earlier on, a 4th and a 5th. So a brilliant end to his day. Well, we're going to take a short ad break. Don't go anywhere. We've got one more race, though, before the lunch break. It's the seniors coming up next. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to round 4 of the Champions of the Future 2024. We just took a brief ad break there. Quick look at some of the SDX motorhomes that are here at the circuit. And the SDX team are here in the paddock. You can catch them just outside the hospitality tent as well. So if you are local to the circuit, you are interested, do go check them out. They are absolutely fabulous. Next race coming up, it is the senior category for qualifying Heat B versus E. The last race before we head to the lunch break and the second half of the day. And again, for this one, Jimmy Elias starting it on pole position. Great results for Jimmy Elias over the course of today. Really strong results. But again, you have to remember all the way throughout this day, he's been dealing with those second places. You'll have Yuri Peschel starting alongside as well. But there he is on your screen, focusing, getting himself ready for this one. It's going to be a tough race. He's got the CRG of Leo Iglesias just behind as well. He's got Roland Cooklane as well, who had a much better end to his race earlier on than what he did in his second race. After that, DNF. Well, the engines fire up, drivers make their way out to the circuit. Lots of new tyres have been deployed for the drivers. We'll go over that a little bit later on, but let's take you through the starting lineup. Jimmy Elias and Yuri Peschel go from row number 1. Luis Iglesias and Roland Cooklane on row 2. Luis Francis and Noel Montero round out the top 6 on row 3. Joe Turney and Pedro Hilbrand round out row number 4. We've got a live on board with Pedro Hilbrand. Hopefully we get to see a little bit of that. Ludovico Busso and Javier Avramidis go from row 5. Rampak Soy and Andrea Dupe go from row 6. Alexander Chartier and Ivo Bestrada go from row 7. Casper Henriksen and Matteo Giaccardi go from row 8. Guy Alberghino and Blake Nash round out row 9. They've got Stylianos Kolovos and Louis Castellini on row 10, giving us our top 20. Oscar Repetto and Fred Sareks go from row 11. They'll have Tom Dussel and Santino Panetta on row 12. Tom Luye and Jakob Raschke round out row 13. Maximilian Rafalik and Timo Jungling go from row 14. They'll have Suleiman Zanfari and Raheem Alibi on row 15. Vilgot Leek and Emma Scarborough go from row 16, with Simon Peng on the final row of the grid, all on his own in the 33rd spot of the grid. All drivers out on track. A reminder of the intermediate classification. Dmitry Matviev leading that, joint on points with Finn McLaughlin with 155 points apiece. Gomez with 144 has had 2 wins and a second to his name, but those 3 drivers not out in this one. Jimmy Elias currently sits 4th in the intermediate classification with 132. He is joint with Drummond, Lindblom and the likes of Yuri Peschel with 126, who is joint with Thibaut Ramekers. Ramekers not out in this race, neither Lindblom. So at the moment, it's all down to Jimmy Elias and Yuri Peschel to see where they can climb up to, of course, but neither of them will be able to close in to Matviev or McLaughlin, especially when they do their 4th race later on today. Final race before the lunch break, and we get a green light and racing, and it's a good start from Elias, who holds on to the lead of this one. Iglesias gets 2nd place, holds on to that one as they make their way through the chicane. It tightens through there, dust gets kicked up, some drivers clipping the apex curbs there as they go down into the braking zone of turns 4 and 5. This makes it the pinch point of the circuit, but everyone gets through nicely there into the braking zone of turn 6. And it's all fine at the front here as they make their way into the tight and twisty section for the first time. Elias leads the way, though, and you can see there Iglesias holding on to it. It's all gone wrong in the background there, and unfortunately, off the circuit there goes Louis Castellini. The Birolot Racing driver on the Leclerc chassis is out of this race. He's going to try and get it restarted, but he's only got the 1 attempt. The Kart Republics changing position there. Francis, Montero and Joe Turney all battling away. Out of the race is Louis Castellini. He will go no further. Turney, though, leading the Kart Republics as they go through. He's up into 3rd place, as again, the air that they get over that crest is absolutely fantastic. Francis there in 4th place. Under pressure, though, Peschel to the inside, splits the Kart Republics in half. And now Roland Cooklane has a chance to go for the move. He dives down the inside. There's contact, and off the track goes Francis. He rejoins, but right into the front of the others. And now Alpac Soy, Andrea Dube, and Ludovico Busso have to take evasive action to avoid any contact there, and they managed to do so. But that is not what you want to see at all for Luis Francis. He will not be happy with that one at all, and I'm sure there'll be a protest there. But Pedro Hilbrand live on board here around the Kristianstad circuit, right behind Noah Montero. P6 we are watching here. Hilbrand in 7th, right on that rear bumper, pushing his way forward, trying to gain these positions. Gaining positions, though, it's happening at the front. Turney into 2nd place. Moves up now on Louis Iglesias. And can he close up to Elias off the track? There is the 2:56 of Stylianos Kolovos. And it looks to me like he's in a little bit of discomfort there. Now, he was battling away with Santino Panetta at the time, the CRG driver, who's dropped down to 22nd. Now, he's still in this race, but maybe something has happened between those two. Eyes focused, though, on Turney. This is good stuff for Joe Turney. A P2 here will help him out. It would move him up 3rd in the intermediate classification. Again, didn't have the best nor worst qualifying for Turney. Certainly making the most of it, though, in these heats. Cooklane, though, with the fastest lap of the race. He's there in P5. He's behind Peschel at the moment, but he is closing in on this battle here. Elias as well, looking strong. Elias for Victory Lane Karting. Like I say, 2nd fastest driver in time qualifying behind Dmitry Matviev. But again, just those 2/10 off. He's saying it wasn't due to pace. He said it wasn't anything wrong with the kart. He put the blame on weather conditions there, and I've got to say, I'm inclined to agree with him a little bit on that one. It was a windy day yesterday. The wind direction changed as well constantly as the day went on. They had a headwind, a crosswind, a tailwind throughout it, as well as the temperature went up. Down the inside, Peschel gets through on Iglesias. He moves up into 3rd place now. Brings Cooklane back into play. Cooklane, who had the fastest lap earlier on, using that to his advantage now. Can he get the job done now on Iglesias? Iglesias holding on to it, though. If Cooklane's going to go for it, he'll be into this final corner here. And he's going to go for it down the inside. No time wasted at all. Tries to close back up to Peschel as they make their way down, communicating with Iglesias, saying, don't attack. Let's go. I've got the pace. You seem to be struggling. Latch onto me. Let's close back up. Let's see if they can do that, though, because Peschel's broken away now. He's going to try and close in on Turney. That is a tough order, though, because Turney himself is trying to close in on Elias. What is that gap at the moment? About half a second. Look at the tyres that have been deployed, and again, a lot of drivers on the used tyres. You have to go down to Alexander Chartier in 19th place. He's actually not gained any positions deploying a fresh set on the left-hand side of the kart. Alabai has deployed as well. 21st place, has gained 9 places for Rahim Alabai. Oh dear, and off the track, that's not gone well at all. The 2:33 will tumble down the order, and this is going to be a disaster for Jakub Raschke. Jakub Raschke is going to try and get it restarted. I think he might have just done it there. It slowly creeps into life. Good job there. But it's going to be too little too late. Down to 30th place. And, well, effectively, yeah, out of this race, but still in it. Back here, though, Cooklane has closed back into Peschel. He has not allowed him to get away. We could see a change here for 3rd place. Roland Cooklane, who needs these good results on the second half of the day, and he's going to get them down the inside through turn 14 and retakes 3rd place. Does Roland Cooklane, pushes himself back up into a really good position here. This helps him out in the intermediate classification. He doesn't push himself up into the top 8. But again, that DNF is going to plague him a little bit here. On board, a replay with Pedro Hilbrand. over the crest. You can see the rubber flinging off the tyres there. And again, the big sends you can see here down the inside of No Montero. Off. How close could you get there for Pedro Hilbrand? I think that was Roland Cooklein just ahead. That was as close as you'd like to see it. Under braking. Now, Hilbrand is still out there in P6. So he's not too far behind this battle. Certainly dropping away from it here, though. Back with the lead ones. On to lap 9 of 13. Elias's gap is still 0.4 of a second. It has closed in a little bit more. Here's another look at that replay. Oh, as close as you'd like to get it. On the exit, though, that has scuppered him. And you can see here, the contact there, and he smacked that inside curb on the exit. Now, that, I think, would have been contact with Noah Montero, potentially, because as he trying to get back down the inside, or maybe a misjudgment of the turning, not too sure, because you couldn't see what was happening on the other side of the kart there, so that is only a speculation whether or not there was contact. Down the inside, though, moves happening here in the background. And still, the Fusion karts there moving up. So are the Forzas as well. That looked to be like Matteo Giaccardi, though, who gained one and now just lost a lot, because Giaccardi, in fact, I think Giaccardi's out of this race because either he's got a timing issue or he's just tumbled down the order because he's down in 29th place. Warning flag has gone out to Timo Jungling, and confirmation for Giaccardi. It's just a transponder issue. So for any Matteo Giaccardi fans out there, he is still in this race in P18. But yes, warning flag for Timo Jungling. He will not like that. That is an in-race 5-second time penalty. That will tumble him down the order. I mean, he's already down the order at the moment, so he's going to be even worse off here. He's currently in 26th place. He will not be happy with that one. Keeping an eye on this gap here. Elias is not, he's not letting Turney close in as quickly as I think Turney would like right now. The pace is very strong with Elias, pushing his way forward. In fact, it's opening up even more now. Personal best lap times for both Elias and Turney, pushing their way forward. Fastest driver on circuit still is Roland Cooklein. Is Cooklein closing in on Turney? I'm going to say he is closing in. The gap about half a second at the moment. You can see it's 1 second between himself and Elias. So half a second between himself and Turney, equal gaps between the two of them. We'll see if that gap comes down. They will cross the timing beam here. It does come down. It comes down by a 10th. Joe Turney, despite his best efforts trying to close in on Jimmy Elias, might have to start thinking about defending from Roland Cooklein here. Checks over the shoulder, can see that the Ward Racing driver is closing in. Ward Racing, of course, will have a lot of experience around the Kristianstad circuit. The Swedish-based team certainly will have done a lot of testing here in previous weeks and months to make sure their drivers are ready for this weekend, and we're seeing that right now with Roland Cooklein, who's closing in. You can see there just in the background, Jakub Raschke, who's still racing around, might have to deal with some blue flags here. He's doing his level best to break away with the rest of the field, but you can just see him there being closed in. A look at the qualifying points that would go the way of these drivers here. Elias would take the lead of the intermediate classifications, 50 points to his name. Now with 182, turning up to third though. And Peschel up to second in the IC. Peschel still there in P4. We're on to the final lap of the race now. Elias still leads from Turney. Cooklein from Peschel. Peschel's not close enough for any advantage from in front. He's clear behind as well in P4. Eyes are focused on this one. I don't think it's going to be enough for Turney to go for anything on Elias. I don't think it's going to be enough for Cooklein to go for the move on Turney himself. All three have done a fantastic job here. Turney with a gain of 5 places. Cooklein with a gain of 1. Jimmy Elias holding on to the race lead. And Elias is looking to get his first win of the weekend out of the final corner. Jimmy Elias adds to his tally and takes a win in the senior category ahead of Joe Turney and Roland Cooklein in third place. Yuri Peschel finishes in 4th place ahead of Louis Iglesias Pedro Hilbrand finishes in P6 with a gain of 2 places. Montero finishes in 7th ahead of Xavier Ramirez. Andrea Dupe finishes in P9 from Luis Francis, who rounds out the top 10. Francis, who struggled at that start of the race going off the track. I suspect we'll want account of what happened in that incident earlier on. I'm sure we'll get a replay where we can have our opinion on that. But of course, all of those go down to the race officials at the end of the race. Elias, Turney and Cook Lane then make their way back into Parc Fermé with the rest of the field. They can be delighted with the top 3 finish in that one. There's a look at the rest of the results. Alpac Soy finishes in 11th place. Guy Alberghino gaining 5 places, finishes in P12 ahead of Ivo Estrada. Tom Dussel finishes in P14, gain of 9 places ahead of Alexander Chartier. Henriksen finishing in 16th place ahead of Ludovico Busso. Panetta in 18th after gaining 6 places from Giacardi. Shadex in 20th place. Field is rounded out by Luye, Repetto, Nash, Alabai, Rafalik, Youngling, Leek, Scarborough, Peng, Rashke, the 30 finishers in that race. Suleiman Zamfari, Stilianos Kolovos and Louis Castellini, unfortunately, all retirements in that race. Unfortunately, in their last race of the morning sessions. We'll see them on the back foot. So there, though, Jimmy Elias for the Victory Lane team. He could be delighted with that result, and we can go into the second half of the day knowing that he has the pace to take a qualifying heat win here at Kristianstad. Let's take you through the highlights from that race. Clean start, clean getaway for the front row. Elias, Iglesias and Francis breaking away, but we'll keep an eye on Luis Francis in the early stages of this one. Firstly, his teammate Turney would get past. No, Montero sweeping to the inside there, trying to get a jump on Cook Lane and Peschel. They managed to do so, but then had to deal with the likes of Ludovico Busso and the Birilat, who had, I think, a pretty terrible start as well, dropped down a little bit in the order. Pedro Hilbrand on board at the start here, got a good view. There you can see the 2-1-5 of Louis Castellini, not having the start he would have wanted, tumbling to the back of the grid, and unfortunately out of the race. That was the change for third place in the early stages. Francis then got caught out by the drivers behind. This was down the inside for Hilbrand, gaining positions left, right and centre in the early stages of that race, putting himself in a clear spot. We would see more from him later on. This was Peschel down the inside of Francis. That move was okay. That brought in Cook Lane from behind. Then you can see Cook Lane would go for the move in towards turn 9. A little bit of contact between himself there and Peschel. That would put him on the back foot and would squeeze, unfortunately, Francis off the track. And I'm sure Francis won't be happy with that, knowing that, you know, well, I was squeezed off the circuit there through no fault of my own. And maybe something may come from that one. Turney later on getting up into second place. And there you can see the move getting done. This was the moment from Hilbrand. Risky move down the inside there. A big lunge. You can see how the time he lost on the exit. Unsure if that was contact with Montero or just a tight line. But a big clout of the curb. A later retirement there for Stilianos Kolovos, the Kart Republic Motorsport driver, out of the race. A big dent in his front NASA panel as well. Suspect there may be a nose cone infringement there as well as a mechanical failure. There was, Peschel making the moves back up. This was Cook Lane getting back through as well. Great recovery drive for Roland Cook Lane, not getting the initial getaway that he had wanted in the early stages of that race. Did manage to close it back. That was Jakub Rashke recovering, but unfortunately at the back of the field, finishing in P30th, but not a DNF, not out of the race. Hilbrand again, the live on board showing the physicality of the lap out there. Well, off the circuit there for the 273. Now that did not go well at all. That's Matteo Giacardi. That is why he tumbled down the order. I did wonder if he had an issue. I thought it was a timing issue, but no, he skipped half the circuit. There, though, the race winner would be Jimmy Elias crossing the line, the race winner from Joe Turney and Roland Cook Lane. Well, that rounds out the first half of the day. Plenty more races coming up later on from qualifying heat 21 all the way up to 30 to the end of the day. We'll find out who will be starting on pole for the super heats tomorrow, who will take the championship points at the end of the qualifying heats phase. We've had some fantastic races so far, so make sure you stay tuned for that one. If you're watching on YouTube, the stream ends here. Thank you so much for watching. There'll be another stream for the second half of the day. If you're watching on Facebook and Motorsport TV, do not go anywhere. Your live stream is uninterrupted. We will see you in 50 minutes' time for the second half of the day here, the Championship of the Future, Round 4 in Kristianstad.